Chapter 427. Jian Chen. Seeing Jian Chen mercilessly kill Mang Feng in front of everyone, Song Bingshan's eyes, which were hidden behind his hair, shot out a thick evil aura. Whether it was Bing Ziki, who was killed by Yi Chenfeng, or Mang Feng, who was killed by Jian Chen, they were both geniuses that the Western Devil sect had spent a lot of effort to nurture. The death of one would have a huge impact on the future of the Western Devil sect, let alone both of them. Wait until I deal with that Yi Chenfeng, then I'll definitely kill you. Song Bingshan swore to himself. Song Shan, it's all up to you. That Yi Chenfeng must die. Bing Qingchuan knew the importance of the battle between Song Bingshan and Yi Chenfeng. He also knew that his secret with Snake Valley had been exposed, so he solemnly instructed. I know. Song Bingshan replied coldly. He slowly stood up and looked at Yi Chenfeng, who was in the distance. Yi Chenfeng's figure was like an illusion in the air. He had appeared on the martial stage in an extremely stunning manner. What fast speed! This Song Bingshan has comprehended the Shadow Dao intent. His absolute speed is probably even faster than Jian Chen. I wonder how Yi Chenfeng will deal with him. Yi Chenfeng is known for his strength. Strength versus speed, this battle will probably be very interesting. Not necessarily. Although Yi Chenfeng is very strong, he is only a level 6 mystic beast ancestor. That Song Bingshan is suspected to be a level 3 reverse beast king expert. In front of absolute strength, I feel that Yi Chenfeng will definitely lose. That's right. That Yi Chenfeng is a genius, but so is that Song Bingshan. With such a huge difference in strength, this battle will probably end even faster than the first. The champion of this year's martial meeting will definitely be between Jian Chen and Song Bingshan. Aside from Misty Mountain, almost no one thought that Yi Chenfeng would be able to defeat Song Bingshan. Just as everyone was discussing spiritedly, Yi Chenfeng entered the arena. Wind riding technique. When Yi Chenfeng leaped into the air, a faint green wind appeared beneath his feet, supporting his entire body. Like an invincible god of war, he stepped into the air and directly walked towards the battle arena. What? Walking on air? Isn't it said that only emperors have the ability to walk on air? Why can that Yi Chenfeng do it too? Not simple. This Yi Chenfeng is not simple at all. He must have cultivated a certain kind of speed heaven skill to the extreme, which is why he is able to use the void treading technique for a short period of time. In terms of appearance, this Yi Chenfeng is even more stunning than Azure Ice Mountain. Daoist Jianling, with his sharp eyes, stared at Yi Chenfeng, who was walking slowly towards the arena. He could not stop praising Yi Chenfeng. Master, who do you think will have the last laugh between Yi Chenfeng and Blue Ice Mountain? Jian Chen looked calmly at Yi Chenfeng and Azure Ice Mountain as he softly asked Daoist Jianling, although I believe that Yi Chenfeng will win, I feel that Blue Ice Mountain has a higher chance of winning. However, that Yi Chenfeng should also have a chance of winning. Daoist Jianling pondered for a moment, taking into account the huge gap between the two of them, and guessed. On the contrary, I feel that Yi Chenfeng has a higher chance of winning. Jian Chen looked at Yi Chenfeng, who had a calm expression and gave him an unfathomable feeling, and said slowly, Interesting. I didn't expect you to have such means. Looking at Yi Chenfeng, who was walking on air, Blue Ice Mountain's pupils immediately shrank to the size of a pinhole, as he said coldly. I still have many means, but I don't know how many of them you can force me to use with your strength. Yi Chenfeng said without backing down, his voice filled with confidence and arrogance. Ha ha ha, after we fight you can still be so arrogant. Blue Ice Mountain laughed loudly and said domineeringly. His aura fiercely crashed towards Yi Chenfeng like a tidal wave. Facing the impact of Blue Ice Mountain's aura, Yi Chenfeng stood straight like a steel spear, not affected in the slightest as he waited for the match to begin. Ready, begin. Xue Piaoling, who was flying in the air, solemnly glanced at the two of them and announced loudly. Peng! Yi Chunfeng lightly took a step forward, and his entire aura instantly changed. A powerful force surged under his feet like a magnificent army, and tore apart Blue Ice Mountain's aura. Seeing his aura being torn apart by Yi Chunfeng's foot, Blue Ice Mountain revealed his true weapon. A powerful saber appeared in his hand. The saber's body was covered in runes, and the saber's hilt was embedded with a crystal-like gem. Demon Sealing Saber, chop! With a swing of the saber, a dazzling saber light slashed down, like mercury flowing down the ground, towards Yi Chunfeng. Mid-grade Heaven Artifact. Feeling the power of the Demon Sealing Saber, Yi Chunfeng decisively activated the power of the spirit bead in his Shenmen acupoint, raising his physical strength to 3 million Jin, and charged forward with the titanic watchtower in his hand. The saber light broke through the silver-white saber light and struck Blue Ice Mountain's Demon Sealing Saber. Boom! The moment the two divine weapons collided, a powerful force surged out, causing the surrounding air to vibrate intensely. As expected, you have some skills. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng did not fuse with his spiritual beast and only relied on his physical strength to block his saber, Blue Ice Mountain revealed a proud smile. He decisively swung the Demon Sealing Saber, raising his soul power and fiercely slashing at Yi Chunfeng. 5 million Jin of strength. Facing Blue Ice Mountain's fierce saber attack, Yi Chunfeng did not dodge, nor did he retreat. Raising his physical strength to the peak, he charged forward with the titanic watchtower that weighed tens of thousands of Jin. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them clashed fiercely. Every time they collided, there would be a powerful recoil that would explode in the air. The powerful force caused the arena to tremble violently. Cracks appeared in the air, as if the entire space had shattered. The two of them fought with speed, fighting with strength, not showing any weakness and not giving in. The exciting battle made the spectators in the stands cry out in satisfaction. After a few hundred rounds of intense battle, both sides were evenly matched. Finally, Song Bingshan decisively changed his move and unleashed the Shadow Dao inside. He transformed into a series of fast shadows that flashed before Yi Chunfeng's eyes, distracting him and waiting for an opportunity to attack. Looking at the dazzling shadows on the arena, many disciples who were not strong enough felt dizzy, unable to catch Blue Ice Mountain's true body. However, Yi Chunfeng's soul had been tempered thousands of times and was extremely powerful. When he spread his soul power around, he locked onto Blue Ice Mountain's true body. Instant kill sword. Yi Chunfeng's body moved, and his entire body merged with the titanic watchtower. The sword tore through the chaotic space and stabbed towards Blue Ice Mountain's true body, aiming for his chest. Yi Chunfeng's sword was as fast as lightning, and Blue Ice Mountain revealed a trace of shock. He was shocked that Yi Chunfeng could actually find his true body under the confusion of the Shadow Dao intent. He decisively held the Demon Sealing Saber in front of him to block the instant kill sword. Sword Dao Pattern, 5 million Jin of strength break. When the gigantic fault heavenly sword pierced the saber body in front of Song Bingshan, 5 sword Dao patterns and a large amount of physical strength fused into the gigantic fault heavenly sword, increasing its attack power. The sword strike forced Song Bingshan to take 3 steps back. What? Blue Ice Mountain was forced back by Yi Chunfeng? Seeing Yi Chunfeng force Blue Ice Mountain back with one sword, the spectators cried out in surprise. They were shocked that Yi Chunfeng, who was only a 6th-level mystic beast ancestor, only had such a terrifying attack power. Interesting, looks like I have to get serious. Blue Ice Mountain quickly stabilized his body and revealed a sinister smile. He instantly merged with his spiritual beast, and a huge 5-headed snake monster's strength rose steadily. In the blink of an eye, Blue Ice Mountain had reached the limit of a 3rd-level reverse beast king. His powerful strength posed a great threat to Yi Chunfeng. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 428. You think you can defeat me as a peak level 3 Beast King? You're too naive. Yi Chunfeng remained unmoved as he sensed Song Bingshan's increasing strength. His eyes flickered with the aura of a dragon-devouring serpent, as if everything was under his control. What a terrifying young man! This kind of spirit is rarely seen in the world. Taoist Jian Ling looked at Yi Chunfeng with a sharp gaze. Chen perhaps you're right. That Yi Chunfeng really might have the last laugh. Yes, Song Bingshan has already lost the first round of probing. I wonder if he still has any heaven-defying trump cards. Jian Chen nodded. Chen if you were to face them, how confident are you in defeating them? Taoist Jian Ling looked at his most proud disciple, the most outstanding genius in the history of Sword Valley. I don't know. Before I see all their trump cards, I don't know what my chances of victory are. Jian Chen shook his head and said, but I won't admit defeat so easily. Ha ha ha, Yi Chunfeng, do you really think you're invincible in the younger generation? I'll let you know that you're just a frog in a well. Song Bingshan seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed arrogantly and slashed at Yi Chunfeng with the demon sealing saber. 8 Devil's Azura Art, 5 Halos of Slaughter. 5 halos of slaughter immediately appeared behind Yi Chunfeng as Song Bingshan slashed down. The terrifying power of slaughter surged into his body like a tide, amplifying his attack power. Tai Sword Technique. Yi Chunfeng twisted his body, creating a winding sword arc that struck Song Bingshan's demon sealing saber. The instant the two divine weapons collided, the power of slaughter and 5 million gene of strength erupted at the same time, blocking the powerful attack of the demon sealing saber. Halos of light. How can he form halos of light like that? Seeing Yi Chunfeng condense a white killing halo, Song Bingshan, who had fought with Yi Chunfeng before and had experienced the terror of the killing halo, widened his eyes in disbelief. Could it be him? Suddenly, Yi Chunfeng's figure appeared in Bing Qingchuan's mind. A terrifying thought appeared in his mind, and the way he looked at Yi Chunfeng changed drastically. 13 Swords of Tai. After taking on the Devil Sealing Saber's attack head-on, Yi Chunfeng, whose entire body was filled with the power of slaughter, took the initiative to attack. His body spun once as 13 sword Dao patterns shot out from his body and instantly condensed into 13 primordial worship. They pierced towards the blue ice mountain with ear-piercing sounds. Water Dragon breaks the heavens. When he caught sight of the 13 sword Dao patterns that Yi Chunfeng condensed, Green Ice Mountain's expression changed slightly. All the soul power in his body gushed out and instantly transformed into an imposing water dragon that was over 100 meters long. It carried an astonishing destructive power as it crashed forward. Rumble! In the instant that the two soul skills collided, an earth-shattering power erupted, riddling the surrounding air with holes. It was as if space itself had been shattered by the ferocious collision. As expected, this Yi Chunfeng has comprehended the first heavenly layer of the Sword Dao. Seeing the 13 Sword Dao patterns erupting from Yi Chunfeng's body, the battle intent in Jian Chen's eyes became even more intense. He couldn't wait to exchange blows with Yi Chunfeng and compete in sword technique. A Class 6 Mystic Beast ancestor who has comprehended the first heavenly layer of the Sword Dao. When did such a monster appear in the Northern Spirit region? It seems like this Yi Chunfeng really has a chance of suppressing Green Ice Mountain and winning this battle between dragons and tigers. The spectators in the stands were also shocked by Yi Chunfeng's astonishing strength, and the number of people supporting him began to increase. Sky Icicle Assault. Green Ice Mountain realized that Yi Chunfeng was harder to deal with than he had imagined. He stopped underestimating him and continuously used the Ice Palace's inherited Dao skills. 3 ice Dao patterns shot out from his body and turned into 3 huge icicles that covered the sky as they slashed towards Yi Chunfeng. Great Sun Heavenly Fire Fist. The 3 icicles swept over with a torrent of cold air. black heavenly fire immediately emerged from Yi Qinfeng's fist. He quickly took a step forward, and a dazzling fist pierced through the sky and collided with the three icicles. Rumble! A thunderous sound exploded, and divine light shot out in all directions. The entire arena couldn't withstand the destructive impact of the two Dao skills colliding. It violently trembled, and visible cracks spread across the surface of the arena. How terrifying! Is Yi Qinfeng really only a Class 6 Mystic Beast ancestor? Even a Class 4 Reverse Beast King's attack isn't that strong. The key is that Yi Qinfeng still hasn't fused with his spiritual beast. I really don't know how strong he is. Dao Will of Shadow Extreme Speed. Even after using a Dao technique, he was still unable to injure Yi Qinfeng. The arrogant Song Bingshan was infuriated. 10 shadow Dao patterns appeared on his body and intertwined into 10 speed shadows. He raised his speed to the limit and launched a fierce attack on Yi Qinfeng. Facing Green Ice Mountain's tide-like attack, Yi Qinfeng didn't shrink back. He activated the power of the Spirit Pearls in his Shinmen and Yongquan Meridians and used the Wind Riding Art to face Green Ice Mountain's attack head-on. The two were like two shooting stars, colliding again and again. The majestic attacks were earth-shattering. The terrifying aura surged like a tsunami, stirring up the entire arena. The 2 layers of defensive light shields were full of cracks, as if they could shatter at any time. Xue Piaoling had no choice but to activate the other layers of defensive light shields around the arena to prevent the powerful aftershocks from spreading and causing unnecessary casualties. This Green Ice Mountain is really strong. With his current attack power, he's almost at the level of a 5th-grade Defiant Beast King. After fighting fiercely with Blue Ice Mountain for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Yi Qinfeng gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. He was suppressed by Blue Ice Mountain's ferocious attacks, and the energy and blood in his body were also surging violently. It seems that I have to fuse with the 2-headed Blood Dragon King. Otherwise, with my current strength, it will be difficult to defeat him. In desperation, Yi Qinfeng decided to expose his spiritual beast and suppress Green Ice Mountain to win this crucial victory. Silent Saber Light. At this moment, Green Ice Mountain's entire body fused with the Demon Sealing Saber. He slashed out a white saber light with the power of silence, slashing towards Yi Qinfeng. Boom! The silent saber light heavily slashed on Yi Qinfeng's gigantic fault heavenly sword above his head. The powerful saber aura burst out with amazing power, shattering the 5 killing halos behind Yi Qinfeng and knocking his legs into the arena full of cracks. A stream of bright red blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Yi Qinfeng, it's over. You can go to hell now. Seeing that Yi Qinfeng was injured, Song Bingshan shouted. He wanted to kill him in one go and win this battle between dragons and tigers. 2-headed Blood Dragon King fuse. At the crucial moment, a deafening dragon's roar resounded. The double-headed Blood Dragon King, which was over 4,000 meters long and covered in thick blood dragon scales, emerged from Yi Qinfeng's body and let out a long roar towards the sky towards the Blue Ice Mountain. When the 2-headed Blood Dragon King fused with Yi Qinfeng, a vast and boundless power burst out from Yi Qinfeng's body. The powerful force was comparable to that of Green Ice Mountain. Green Ice Mountain, let's settle this once and for all. Yi Qinfeng, who was full of monstrous soul power, shouted and pointed the gigantic fault heavenly sword at Green Ice Mountain. The invincible and overbearing aura made Green Ice Mountain's heart tremble. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 429. Double-Headed Blood Dragon King. It's him. It's really him. Why is he here? Why is he representing the Misty Mountain? Bing Qingchuan's eyes widened when he saw Yi Qinfeng's spiritual beast, the double-headed Blood Dragon King. He was so shocked that he almost stood up. He never thought that the person who had fought with him several times, broken the extreme death demonic curse, saved the Fu family, killed the fifth elder of the West Demon Sect, and severely injured the great guardian of the West Demon Sect, Mo Jian, was related to the Misty Mountain. Not good. It seems that the Misty Mountain already knew about our plan. Thinking of this, Bing Qingchuan immediately took out his communication bead and sent a voice transmission to the upper echelons of the West Devil Sect. Interesting. I didn't expect you to have such a top spiritual beast. Song Bingshan's gaze was as sharp as lightning as he looked at Yi Chunfeng. He said coldly, however, this is for the best. Killing you will add to my accomplishment. Bing Qingchuan, you are too naive. I can tell you clearly that the person who will die will be you. Yi Chunfeng said without hesitation. Yi Chunfeng, I'll let you see my true strength. Bing Qingchuan released the seal on his body. Demonic qi gushed out of his body and pushed his strength to another level. Yes, Bing Qingchuan's true strength is not a third-level beast king, but a fourth-level one. Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly when he felt Bing Qingchuan's true strength being exposed. He couldn't help but show a trace of seriousness. Although Yi Chunfeng could crush a fourth-level beast king with just his physical strength, Bing Qingchuan was different from ordinary fourth-level beast kings. He was a top genius cultivated by a seventh-rank Holy Land and had the ability to kill enemies above his level. Yi Chunfeng didn't doubt that Bing Qingchuan had the ability to fight a sixth-level beast king with his strength and means. Fourth-level beast king. Sensing Blue Ice Mountain's true strength, Xue Qinglan and the other Misty Mountain experts could no longer sit still. They hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Xue Tianqi, Old Sect Master, should we make a move to stop this battle and work together to capture this top genius of the West Devil Sect? Wait, now is not the time. Xue Tianqi's deep gaze drifted towards the Ice Palace and the Snake Valley. After discovering that Yi Chunfeng's identity had been exposed, they did not panic at all. Instead, a trace of unease appeared in their hearts. Old Sect Master, what are we waiting for? Right now, the various major powers should have already realized that the Ice Palace, Snake Valley and the Western Devil Sect are secretly colluding with each other. As long as we wait for an opportunity to make things difficult for them, the various major powers will respond with a single call. We will control them and destroy the Western Devil Sect's scheme. Xue Qinglan looked at the Ice Snow Mountain with hatred. She really wanted to personally kill him to avenge Xue Tianyang. Qinglan, didn't you notice that after the scheme was exposed, the Ice Palace and Snake Valley were too quiet? If they didn't have anything to rely on, they definitely wouldn't dare to do this. Xue Tianqi said with a solemn expression. Furthermore, it is not normal for the Palace Masters and Valley Masters of the two major powers to not appear. I feel that the people from the Western Devil Sect are most likely lying in ambush in the ancient Sky Mountain. What? Hearing Xue Tianqi's analysis, the expressions of Xue Qinglan and the others greatly changed. Although the Misty Mountain was a peak 6th grade power, compared to the 7th grade Holy Land, the Western Devil Sect, there was still a large gap in strength. Only in the Misty Mountain, and relying on the 100,000 years of inheritance of the Misty Mountain, could they contend against the Western Devil Sect. But in the ancient Sky City, once they were attacked by the Western Devil Sect, they would have a hard time. Don't panic. The matter might not be as serious as we thought. Right now, the most important thing is to contact the Sword Valley, Qian family, Sky Cloud Sect, and the other major powers to face this calamity together. Perhaps there is still a chance. Xue Tianqi pondered for a while, then said, as for this martial competition, we should completely trust Yi Chunfeng. As long as he can defeat the Ice Snow Mountain and obtain the first place, he might be able to change the fate of the Misty Mountain. Yi Chunfeng, to be able to force me to use my full strength, even if you die, you should be proud of yourself. After releasing the seal on his body, the Ice Snow Mountain looked at Yi Chunfeng with a sharp gaze. He pointed the tip of his blade at Yi Chunfeng and said arrogantly, "A 4th grade reverse beast king is enough for you to be so arrogant? Yi Chunfeng looked at the overbearing ice-snow mountain and decisively ignited his dragon bloodline. A dragon aura that could frighten the heavens and earth spread out from his body, intimidating the surroundings. Just the dragon aura emitted by Yi Chunfeng was enough to make people feel fear, not to mention becoming his enemy. The ice-snow mountain was also affected, and his invincible belief was slightly shaken. Shwa shwa. The two moved at the same time, erupting with earth-shattering power. They clashed fiercely. For a moment, the whole arena was filled with dazzling speed shadows. They were like shooting stars, flashing and zigzagging in the arena. And every time they fiercely clashed, an astonishing attack would erupt, shaking the arena under their feet more and more. More and more cracks appeared, as if it could collapse at any moment. Lion King's roar. Yi Chunfeng unleashed an astonishing amount of power. When he took on Blue Ice Mountain's ferocious attack head-on, a powerful sound wave was released from his mouth. In an instant, the sound wave converged into the shape of a ferocious lion's head, which bombarded Blue Ice Mountain at close range. Buzz! After being attacked by the Lion King's roar, Ice Snow's soul and body trembled at the same time, and his reaction was slightly delayed. Flying Immortal Sword. Seizing the opportunity when Ice Snow's reaction was delayed, Yi Chunfeng made his move. 10 Thunder Dao patterns and 10 Sword Dao patterns shot out from his body and fused with the power of the dragon blood and the power of slaughter. With a force of 5 million kilograms, he unleashed a sword strike that resembled a flying immortal and slashed towards Song Bingshan's chest. Not good! Ice Snow, who had regained his senses, reacted quickly and slashed out with his blade. The scarlet blade light was like a demonic moon. It ruthlessly clashed with the flying immortal sword, erupting with earth-shattering energy. It was like a tsunami that swept across the sky. PFFF. Yi Chunfeng's attack just now could be said to have used up all his trump cards. It was extremely powerful. It directly shattered the scarlet blade light from Blue Ice Mountain and bombarded Yi Chunfeng's body, shattering his body's defenses and sending him flying. Wrath of Divine Punishment. After successfully injuring Ice Snow, Yi Chunfeng didn't slow down his attack. Black Flame Heavenly Fire, Ancient Extreme Purple Thunder, and Ancient Cold Mystic Ice spewed out from his body and gathered into a tricolored destructive light ball. It was like a meteor crashing towards the pale-faced Ice Snow. Myriad Transformations Black Lotus. As the wrath of divine punishment approached, Ice Snow, whose chi and blood were in turmoil, didn't care about his injuries. He spewed out a large amount of demonic aura, which instantly gathered into a slowly blooming black lotus. Rumble, a thunderous sound reverberated throughout the 9 heavens. 2 destructive storms surged out in all directions like tidal waves, directly shattering the innermost layer of defensive light barrier. Wrath of Divine Punishment continued to attack. As the destructive storms wreaked havoc, Yi Chunfeng continued to strike with the Wrath of Divine Punishment. He bombarded Ice Snow and aggravated his injuries. In an instant, the entire surface of the arena was turned into dust. The spectators on the spectators' stand couldn't see what was happening. They had never seen such a horrifying scene before. It was beyond their knowledge. The world-shaking battle between Yi Chunfeng and Ice Snow would definitely be recorded in the annals of history. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 430. Tao of Darkness Devour. Facing the continuous attacks of the Wrath of Divine Retribution, even with Song Bingshan's strength, he could not withstand it. His injuries continued to worsen. In order to break free from the passive situation, he forcefully endured his injuries and used his final trump card. 10 Tao of Darkness patterns appeared on his body, forming a dark vortex. It frantically devoured the destructive attacks of the Wrath of Divine Retribution, reducing the pressure on his body. Demonic Blood Blade. As the Tao of Darkness devoured the Wrath of Divine Retribution, Song Bingshan leaped high into the air. His entire body fused with the demon's sealing blade, and he slashed out a scarlet blade shadow. He forcefully tore apart the wrath of divine retribution and broke free. This is the Tao of Darkness. Seeing the 10 Tao of Darkness patterns surrounding Song Bingshan, Yi Chunfeng could not help but be shocked. Song Bingshan was the same as him. They were both geniuses blessed with great fortune. Wanting to kill him was just too difficult. Yi Chunfeng, I really did not think that you would force me to such a state. However, the game is about to end. You will definitely become a ghost under my blade. Covered in wounds, Song Bingshan roared towards the sky. His jet-black hair danced in the wind. The 10 Tao of Darkness patterns fused with the demon's sealing blade, releasing the seal on the blade. In the next moment, the demon's sealing blade surged with a power that could shake the heavens and the earth. The terrifying attack shocked everyone present. Too terrifying. These two young people are too terrifying. That Yi Chunfeng has comprehended the Tao of Sword and Tao of Lightning. This Song Bingshan is even stronger. He has comprehended the Tao of Darkness and possesses a blade with superior demonic energy. Chun-Er, now that you have seen their trump cards, how confident are you in defeating them? Taoist Jian Ling asked with a serious expression. If I were to face Yi Chunfeng, I would only have a 20% chance of victory. If I were to face Song Bingshan, I should have a 40% chance of defeating him. Jian Chen looked at the two people on the battlefield with a burning gaze. What's wrong, Chun-Er? Do you think that Yi Chunfeng is stronger? Taoist Jian Ling asked. If I'm not wrong, Ice Snow should have used all his trump cards, while Yi Chunfeng still has trump cards he hasn't used yet. If Ice Snow can't defeat Yi Chunfeng in one go, he'll be the loser in the end, said Jian Chen. Great Demon Slaying Dragon Blade. After undoing the seal on the demon sealing saber, Song Bingshan, whose attack power had reached its limit, let out a roar and slashed out with the Western Demon Sect's inherited Tao skill. The pitch-black saber shadow slashed through the air like an aggressive black dragon, sweeping everything in its path towards Yi Chunfeng. To devour lightning devour. Song Bing slaying blade. Slaying attack slaying Song slaying slash. Song slaying slash. Sword Tao pattern and Thunder Tao pattern flew out of his body and circled around him, forming a giant thunder sword that could split the sky and earth. It was mixed with the power of dragon blood too. 5 million pounds of force, and the power of slaughter. It slashed heavily on the demon-slaying dragon blade. Kachacha, the two Taoist skills clashed fiercely in the center of the arena. Deafening explosions rang out incessantly. Zigzagging cracks filled the void, revealing waves of energy. Heavenly Thunder Battle Armor, defend. Feeling the recoil, Yi Chunfeng immediately activated the Heavenly Thunder Battle Armor's defensive power, blocking the tide-like ferocious attack. On the other hand, Azure Ice Mountain, who controlled the Tao of Darkness and formed the devouring armor, was barely affected. Yi Chunfeng, I advise you to stop your pointless struggle. With your offensive strength, you're unable to break through the devouring defense of the Dark Tao Insight, whereas the energy within the Devil Seal Saber is sufficient to annihilate you. Azure Ice Mountain took a deep breath and suppressed the surging blood in his clan, purposely attacking Yi Chunfeng. Although the Tao of Darkness is powerful, it has a limit. I'd like to see how many attacks you can take. With that, the 23 sword Tao patterns all shot out of Yi Chunfeng's body and circled around Yi Chunfeng, tearing through the air. The second heavenly layer of the Way of the Sword. Yi Chunfeng has actually comprehended the second heavenly layer of the Way of the Sword. Seeing the 23 sword Tao patterns around Yi Chunfeng, everyone in the stands was stunned. This was because even regular Emperor-level experts would find it very difficult to cultivate the Way of the Sword to the second heavenly layer, but Yi Chunfeng, a rank 6 profound beast ancestor, had done it. This Yi Chunfeng is too terrifying. I'm not as good as him. A complicated expression appeared in Jian Chen's sharp eyes. Although he was confident in his own strength, he was extremely clear that he had already lost completely in terms of comprehension of the way of the sword. Not to mention Jian Chen's endless methods and powerful body. A ruler armament. Everyone was shocked. Yi Chenfeng put the gigantic fault heavenly sword into his cosmos ring and took out his high-grade celestial tool. A king's qi started to emanate from his body. What, a high-grade celestial artifact! Sensing the attack power of the ruler armament, Song Bingshan's expression became extremely ugly. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Yi Chenfeng's foundation was even deeper than his. He actually possessed a high-grade celestial artifact. However, Song Bingshan, who had been through a lot, quickly calmed down. Wielding the unsealed demon sealing saber, he once again clashed with Yi Chenfeng. After using all his trump cards, Yi Chenfeng's attack power reached a shocking level. With the 23 sword Dao patterns, the ruler armament with a strength of 2.5 million kilograms completely suppressed Song Bingshan's demon sealing saber. Coupled with the 5 halos of slaughter and the amplification of the dragon's bloodline, Yi Chenfeng quickly forced Song Bingshan to retreat again and again. Flame Dragon destroys the world. 9 Dragon Banana. 7 Swords of Judgment. Extreme Chill. In order to suppress Song Bingshan, Yi Chenfeng didn't hold back and continuously executed Dao skills with terrifying power. He bombarded Song Bingshan. The powerful attack power shattered the battle armor formed by the dark Dao intent and worsened his injuries. Damn it, even Song Bingshan isn't a match for him. Could this Yi Chenfeng be our nemesis? Looking at the development of the situation, Bing Qingchuan's expression became extremely gloomy. He didn't dare to imagine that such a flawless plan would be ruined by Yi Chenfeng alone. Furthermore, Song Bingshan, one of the 2 great geniuses that the Western Devil sect had spent a lot of effort to nurture, was also not a match for Yi Chenfeng. However, thinking of the Western Devil sect's true plan and their own reliance, Bing Qingchuan and the others' uneasy hearts calmed down. Sword Dao second heavenly layer, break for me! Yi Chenfeng burst out with a roar. A large amount of energy crazily fused into the ruler armament. An ear-piercing sound was emitted from the ruler armament. Qi. The air seemed to have been torn apart. The ruler armament carried an unparalleled sword qi as it pierced towards Song Bingshan's chest, who was constantly retreating. Sensing the terrifying power of Yi Chenfeng's sword, Song Bingshan decisively used the Shadow Dao intent to dodge. However, the moment he dodged, Yi Chenfeng's deep eyes shot out 20 illusionary Dao patterns, which blasted into Song Bingshan's mind, causing his reaction speed to slow down slightly. PFFF. Yi Chenfeng's sword pierced through the battle armor condensed from the Dao of Darkness, and the ruler armament pierced through Song Bingshan's battle armor like a hot knife through butter. The ruler armament pierced through Song Bingshan's body and directly pierced through his chest. A large amount of blood spurted out. His heavily injured body was like a kite with a broken string as he flew out. He directly crashed through several layers of defensive light barriers and fell out of the battle arena, losing the battle. Boom! The moment Song Bingshan lost the battle, the Tower of Providence he condensed shattered. The power of Providence in the surroundings wildly surged into Yi Chenfeng's body. In less than 3 breaths, the Tower of Providence above Yi Chenfeng's head had reached the 6th floor, surpassing Jianchen and becoming the champion of the Ancient Sky City Martial Competition. For mobile users, please visit //Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 431. He won. That Yi Chenfeng really defeated Song Bingshan. Witnessing the scene before them, the previously noisy martial arena instantly turned silent. Many pairs of eyes were filled with awe, shock, and fear as they looked at the proud and aloof Yi Chenfeng, whose gaze was as sharp as lightning, giving off a strong, intimidating aura. Song Bingshan, now you should know who the frog at the bottom of the well is. Yi Chunfeng said in a domineering tone as he walked with heavy steps to the edge of the shattered arena. He looked down at Azure Ice Mountain, who had a hole in his chest and was bleeding profusely. His injuries were extremely serious. Yi Chunfeng, I lost this time, but next time I will definitely defeat you and use your blood to wash away the humiliation I suffered today. Song Bingshan stood up shakily and glared at Yi Chunfeng with his blood-red eyes, his heart filled with unwillingness. Next time. The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled up slightly. The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed at all as he said, "There's no need to wait that long." Word. Just as Yi Chunfeng was about to take advantage of Song Bingshan's heavy injuries to kill him to prevent future trouble, a cold voice rang out. A thin and small old man wearing a black robe strangely blocked in front of Song Bingshan. Like a venomous snake, he stared at Yi Chunfeng, not giving him a chance to kill Song Bingshan. 6th grade Defiant Beast King. Sensing the strength of the black-robed old man, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. His face revealed a trace of solemnity as he helplessly gave up on killing Song Bingshan. Xingshan, Song Bingshan has already lost. Do you still want to kill him? The black-robed old man questioned with an ominous glint in his eyes. His skill is inferior. If he dies, then he dies. If he lives, he will only be a disgrace. Yi Chunfeng coldly replied. Under Song Bingshan's unwilling and angry gaze, he summoned the golden rock wings and flew back to Misty Mountain's stand. Yi Chunfeng, just you wait. If I don't kill you, I swear I'm not human. When had the proud and arrogant Song Bingshan ever suffered such humiliation? His eyes spat fire as he stared at Yi Chunfeng's back, gritting his teeth as he swore in his heart. Azure Ice Mountain, you traitor of the Western Devil Sect, do you dare to fight me? Just as Song Bingshan was about to leave with the support of the black-robed old man, Jian Chun stood up and pointed the tip of the 8 fierce sword at Song Bingshan, deliberately challenging him. His battle with Yi Chunfeng had left him extremely heavily injured. He could only use 30% of his full strength at most, so he was unable to defeat the equally unfathomable Jian Chun. However, to have him admit defeat in front of so many people was even worse than killing him. What, you don't dare? Jian Chun looked at Song Bingshan, who was clenching his fists and was about to go crazy. His cold face revealed a cold smile as he said, Song Bingshan, you have really disappointed me. If you don't dare, then scram back to your Western Devil Sect. Don't embarrass yourself here. Impudent. The black-clothed old man was enraged by Jian Chen's repeated attacks on Song Bingshan's martial heart. A powerful killing intent erupted from his small body and swept towards Jian Chen, who was giving off a fierce aura. In my northern spirit region, you still dare to be impudent. The gloomy Taoist Jian Ling coldly snorted. An incomparably sharp blade shot out from his body and slashed through the air. It directly tore apart the killing intent released by the black-robed old man and continued to slash towards him. Sensing the fearsomeness of Taoist Jian Ling's attack, the black-robed old man's expression changed slightly. His hands, which were hidden under his black robes, moved quickly to form 2 palm seals to block the incoming warship. Do it. At this moment, Xue Tianqi, Xue Qinglan, and the others, who had long been unable to hold back, fused with their spirit beasts and erupted with powerful soul power. They wanted to join forces to control Song Bingshan, Bing Qingchuan, and the others, and interrogate the Western Devil Sect's next step. Suddenly falling out with the Ice Palace and Snake Valley was the result of Xue Tianqi's discussion with Taoist Jian Ling and the others. Although taking action before the Western Devil Sect's true scheme would make the situation more complicated and difficult to grasp. But after getting the response from the Qian family, Flowing Cloud Sect, and the others, Xue Tianqi and Taoist Jian Ling decided to take the risk and gather everyone's strength to control Bing Qingchuan and the others, and interrogate the Western Devil Sect's true scheme before thinking of a way to deal with it. Xue Tianqi, Old Man Jian Ling, You really think we are afraid of you? Bing Qingchuan and Mang Hanch looked at Shui Tianqi, Daoist Jianling, and the others joining forces and roared. They each took out a crystal-like crystal that contained runes and quickly crushed it. Suddenly, 2 scarlet lights soared into the sky, penetrating through the layers of clouds and forming a strange hexagram array in the sky, enveloping the entire ancient sky city. Endless demonic chi was like a coiling dragon, spiraling and rotating within the hexagram array. A large amount of Yin wind swept through the heaven and earth, turning the entire sky crimson. 9E9 Extreme Array. Looking at the hexagram array in the sky, Shui Tianqi, Daoist Jianling, and the others' faces greatly changed. Never in their wildest dreams did they expect that the Western Devil sect would have such a shocking method, laying down one of the ancient demonic arrays around the ancient sky city, the terrifying 9E9 Extreme Array. Shui Tianqi, Old Man Jianling, go to hell. Bing Qingchuan and Mang Hanch revealed a sinister expression. Through the array disk, they forcibly activated the 9E9 Extreme Array, wanting to refine all the experts of the major powers to death. Rumble, just as the 9E9 Extreme Array was activated, the ancient sky city once again trembled. Endless power of providence quickly gathered and formed the ancient sky array, covering the entire ancient sky city. Mushroom clouds soared into the sky, bombarding the 9E9 Extreme Array with great power. A thunderous sound exploded in the sky above the ancient sky city. The terrifying sound made people's mind tremble. The moment the 2 ancient arrays clashed, an incomparably ferocious energy burst out. The entire sky was distorted by the powerful shockwave. A large amount of cracks filled the sky, as if the entire sky would shatter at any moment. Ancient Sky Array. Seeing the ancient sky array attacking the 9E9 Extreme Array, Shui Tianqi and the others let out a long sigh of relief. They joined forces to attack the gloomy Bing Qingchuan and the others, wanting to seize this opportunity to capture them. All of you, go to hell. When Shui Tianqi and the others approached, Bing Qingchuan and Mang Hanch quickly took out 2 black beads from their spatial rings and shot them at Shui Tianqi and the others. Dodge. Seeing the 2 black beads cutting through the sky, Shui Tianqi and the others felt the destructive power contained within the beads and quickly dodged to the side. Rumble. 2 explosions that sounded like the roar of the thunder god rang out, swallowing up all the sounds in the world. The terrifying explosive power suddenly exploded, directly distorting the void. Songshan, Old Ming, let's leave this place first. After throwing out Bing's trump card, Bing Qingchuan and the others didn't dare to stay for long. They wanted to open the 9E9 Extreme Array and quickly leave the chaotic ancient sky city. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky above the ancient sky city again. The power of fortune that filled the void quickly gathered, forming a larger and larger ball of light. Endless light of fortune shone down from the ball of light, illuminating the ancient sky city. In the next moment, the light ball of fortune turned into a strange gate of fortune. A boundless and desolate aura gushed out from the gate of fortune. 99 stairs of fortune extended out from the gate of fortune and extended layer by layer into the ancient sky city. The entrance to the ancient sky palace that hadn't appeared for more than 10,000 years strangely appeared at this moment. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 432. This is the Ancient Heaven Palace. The ancient heaven palace that hasn't appeared in over 10,000 years has actually appeared at this time. Isn't it said that the ancient heaven palace can only be opened by condensing 9 floors of the Tower of Providence? Has someone condensed 9 floors of the Tower of Providence? Looking at the stairs of Providence that extended down and the strange gate of Providence in the sky, those who had heard of the legend of the ancient heaven palace cried out, "Look over there! Someone really has condensed 9 floors of the Tower of Providence." While everyone was searching, they shockingly discovered that a large amount of power of providence was crazily pouring into the bodies of Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, and Song Bingshan. Even Qian Wuxin, Xue Xinyue, Xue Jinyan, and the others who had lost early on had also fused a large amount of power of providence into their towers of providence. 2 dazzling 9 floors of the Tower of Providence appeared above Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chen's heads, complementing the Gate of Providence. As for Song Bingshan, who had lost to Yi Chunfeng and fled with all his might, an 8-floor Tower of Providence had also condensed above his head, showing signs of condensing 9 floors. Heavens, 2 9-floor Towers of Providence, 1 8-floor Tower of Providence, and so many 5 and 6-floor Towers of Providence. This has never happened in the history of ancient Sky City. Is it because Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, and the others are too monstrous, activating the most powerful power of providence in ancient Sky City and opening the ancient Heaven Palace? Or is it because ancient Sky City sensed danger and changed, alarming the ancient Heaven Palace? Looking at the towers of providence above Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, and the others, many people were completely stunned. Song Shan, we can't stay here for too long. Let's leave first. The black-clothed old man looked at Song Bingshan, who was trying to condense 9 floors of the Tower of Providence, and urged loudly. No, you guys leave first. I'll go explore the ancient Heaven Palace. Song Bingshan's eyes, which were as deep as the sea, shot out rays of light as he looked at the ancient Gate of Providence. No, it's too difficult. The black-clothed old man knew the significance of the Blue Ice Mountain to the Western Devil sect, so he refused without hesitation. Now that your identity has been exposed, they will do everything they can to kill you. Old Ming, we took the risk to participate in the ancient Sky City martial meet, wasn't it for the ancient Heaven Palace? Now that the ancient Heaven Palace has appeared, if we leave, wouldn't all our efforts be wasted? Like Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chen, Song Bingshan possessed an unyielding heart for cultivation. He would not be stopped by difficulties. This was why he was able to become a 4th-grade defiant beast king at such a young age. Furthermore, not just anyone could enter the ancient Heaven Palace. Only geniuses who had condensed the Tower of Destiny had the qualifications to challenge the 99 steps and enter the ancient Heaven Palace. It could be said that only Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chen could threaten his life. But there are no buts. If I miss this opportunity, I'm afraid I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Moreover, I have the confidence that I can survive in the ancient Heaven Palace. You guys go out and wait for me. Song Bingshan revealed a confident smile and said in an irresistible tone. After saying that, the heavily injured Song Bingshan threw a heaven-level soul pill into his mouth and condensed a pair of soul wings. He spread his wings and flew towards the 99 steps of the Stairway of Destiny. Xue Qinglan, leave your life behind. Xue Qinglan's attention was always on Song Bingshan. When he discovered that Song Bingshan did not follow the black-clothed old man, Bing Qingchuan, and the others out of ancient Sky City, and risked flying towards the 99 steps of the Stairway of Destiny, Xue Qinglan roared and rushed over with a pair of low-grade heaven-level light bananas. Shadow Dao Intent. Xue Qinglan's murderous aura surged as he attacked. Song Bingshan, who was flying at high speed, immediately unleashed his Shadow Dao will. 10 Shadow Dao inscriptions flew out of his body. While increasing his flying speed, they instantly transformed into 10 shadows to confuse Xue Qinglan's attacks. Bang bang bang! Xue Qinglan's 2 swords intertwined with the endless power of the ways. As the 2 swords slashed down, 2 deep sword marks appeared in the chaotic sky. They directly shattered the 5 shadows but failed to hit Song Bingshan's body. Grabbing this opportunity, Song Bingshan endured his injuries and quickly flapped his soul wings. He quickly flew towards the Stairway of Destiny before Xue Qinglan could launch a second round of attack. Yi Chunfeng, although we are not fated to fight in the martial competition, the ancient Sky Palace has created an opportunity for us to compete. I wonder if you are interested in competing with me in the ancient sky palace to see who is better? Jian Chen, who had condensed the 9th floor of the Tower of Destiny, looked at Yi Chunfeng nearby and proposed with a high battle intent. Haha, why don't we compete and see who can kill Songbing Shan? Yi Chunfeng laughed loudly and suggested while looking at Songbing Shan. Alright, let's compete in this. A rare smile appeared on Jian Chen's cold and arrogant face as he agreed. With that, the two of them shot into the air like arrows and chased closely behind Songbing Shan towards the 99th floor of the Stairway of Destiny. Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, don't be complacent. I will definitely step on your corpses and reach the peak of martial arts step by step. Songbing Shan did not panic at all when he heard how the two of them were going to compete. Instead, his battle intent was roused as he murmured to himself with a fierce gaze. Boundless storm. Seeing Songbing Shan get closer and closer to the Stairway of Destiny, Xue Qinglan, whose eyes were red with hatred, attacked with all his strength. The terrifying power of the waves immediately turned into a storm ship that tore through the air and slashed towards Songbing Shan. Buzz! Just as Songbing Shan was about to be hit by the boundless storm, he suddenly sped up again. He turned into a blur in the air and easily passed through the restrictions around the Stairway of Destiny. He was the first to appear on the first floor. However, Xue Qinglan's full-powered attack was blocked by the powerful restrictions around the Stairway of Destiny. It was unable to harm Songbing Shan at all. Songbing Shan, if you have the guts, hide inside and don't come out. Otherwise, I swear that I will destroy you and turn you into ashes. Xue Qinglan, who was blocked by the restrictions, roared furiously. Ha ha ha, Xue Qinglan, do you really think that I am afraid of you? Wait until I take away the greatest opportunity in the Northern Spirit region. I will send you to hell and you will reunite with your useless grandson. Songbing Shan's eyes flashed with a fierce light as he spoke without backing down. After that, Songbing Shan ignored the murderous Xue Qinglan. He quickly took out 3 precious heaven-level soul elixirs and swallowed them. He recovered his body that had been severely injured by Yi Chunfeng and prepared to climb the Stairway of Destiny. At this time, Bing Qingchuan, Mang Hanch, and the others opened the life gate of the 9E9 Extreme Formation. Under the pursuit of Xue Tianqi, Daoist Jianling, and the others, they fled ancient Sky City with their disciples who had suffered heavy casualties. Damn it, we let them escape. Seeing Bing Qingchuan and the others disappear from ancient Sky City, Xue Tianqi and the others were furious. However, the 9E9 Extreme Formation was too terrifying. Xue Tianqi, Daoist Jianling, and the others did not have a deep understanding of formations and could not open the life gate. Just as Xue Tianqi and the others were attacking the 9E9 Extreme Formation with all their strength and wanted to tear the formation apart to chase after Bing Qingchuan and the others, the communication pearl in Xue Tianqi's arms suddenly lit up. When Xue Tianqi received the message from the communication pearl, his body trembled and his mind went blank. He was dumbfounded on the spot. For mobile users, please visit //Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 433. Master, what's wrong? What happened? Looking at Xue Tianqi, whose face was pale, Xue Piaoling noticed that something was wrong and asked him. Piaoling, something happened to Misty Mountain. Xue Tianqi said with a trembling voice. Master, what happened to Misty Mountain? Xue Piaoling raised her eyebrows and asked nervously. Misty Mountain was besieged by the West Demon sect. Among them, the Palace Master of the Ice Palace and the Valley Master of the Snake Valley have also appeared in Misty Mountain. Together, they are attacking our Misty Mountain's protective array. Right now, our Misty Mountain is in grave danger. Xue Tianqi took a deep breath and suppressed Zhong Xian's uneasiness. He told Xue Piaoling and the others what he knew. What? Hearing the news, Xue Piaoling and the others were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine what they had just heard. Could it be that the West Demon Sect's real scheme wasn't the ancient Heaven City martial competition, but to attack Misty Mountain while we were away? Shui Piaoling said. Yes, the West Demon Sect's real purpose should be to destroy Misty Mountain's foundation, and the ancient Heaven City martial competition was only one of their plans. Shui Tianqi nodded and said angrily. The West Demon Sect is so ruthless. Shui Tianqi ordered while gritting his teeth. Disciples of Misty Mountain, listen up. Attack the 9E9 extreme formation with all your strength. Break the formation and return to Misty Mountain for help. Disciples of Sword Valley, listen up. Attack with all your strength. Disciples of Sky Cloud Sect, listen up. Attack with all your strength. Disciples of Qian family, listen up. Attack with all your strength. Feeling the seriousness of the situation, Taoist Jianling and the others led the experts of their sects and families to attack the 9E9 extreme formation. Once Misty Mountain was destroyed by the West Demon Sect, their sects and forces would also be affected. However, the 9E9 extreme formation was an ancient demonic formation that the West Demon Sect spent a lot of effort to set up. It was very powerful. Even with everyone's strength and the ancient heaven formation, they couldn't break it in a short time. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, Qian Wuxin, Lu Yunhen, Shui Xinyue, and the others who did not know that the Misty Mountain was under attack passed through the barrier one after another. They appeared at the bottom of the Stairway of Providence, which was filled with ancient power and strange patterns. With the help of several heaven-level soul pills, Grey Ice Mountain stabilized his injuries. Withstanding the immense spatial pressure, he began to climb the Stairway of Providence. As he climbed the floors, a large amount of power of Providence surged into his body, further condensing the Tower of Providence above his head. When the powerful Grey Ice Mountain endured his heavy injuries and climbed to the 11th level, the Tower of Providence above his head broke through the limit of 99 and condensed to the 10th level. After condensing 10 levels of the Tower of Providence, the spatial pressure in the Stairway of Providence suddenly doubled, crashing into his body with overwhelming force. However, Grey Ice Mountain was a level 4 Defiant Beast King. Twice the spatial pressure didn't affect him at all. He endured the pressure and climbed the stairs without slowing down. He wanted to be the first to enter the ancient Heaven Palace and find the great opportunity inside. Let's go. We can't let that bastard from the Western Devil Sect take away the opportunity of the ancient Heaven Palace. Seeing Grey Ice Mountain climbing faster and faster, Yi Chunfeng, Jian Chen, and the others didn't waste any time. They all erupted with powerful strength and quickly climbed the Stairway of Providence, chasing after Grey Ice Mountain. They wanted to stop him outside the ancient Heaven Palace. Yi Chunfeng and the other two climbed the Stairway of Providence at an extremely fast speed. Gan Wuxin and the others also followed closely behind. However, after climbing the 5th level, many disciples of the various large sects felt powerless and were about to reach their limit. Is the difference in strength between us really that big? Several cultivators gritted their teeth and bitterly endured. Seeing Yi Chunfeng and the others climb the Stairway of Providence without any pressure, they felt like their hands and feet were filled with lead. They revealed bitter smiles. Those who could come to ancient Heaven City to participate in the martial competition were all top geniuses of their sections. They were the targets of envy and pursuit of others. However, after coming to ancient Heaven City, they discovered that the talent they were proud of compared to the true geniuses was like heaven and earth. This dealt a heavy blow to their confidence, causing them to feel humiliated and powerless. Peng! A 4th-level Xian Beast Master Disciple couldn't withstand the pressure of the space and directly slid down from the Stairway of Providence. He heavily fell on the next level, and a large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. Very soon, another person couldn't withstand the gradually increasing pressure and fell down. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, there were only 12 people climbing the Stairway of Providence. Among them, Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chen were the fastest, followed by Gan Wuxin and Lu Yunhen. Xue Xinyue and the others were in the third group, climbing more and more strenuous. Why is the Tao intent of this stairway of providence so similar to the Tao intent of the mysterious stone inscription that Xue Qinglan gave me? Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chun climbed to the 11th level almost at the same time. When he condensed the Tower of Providence to the 10th level, Yi Chunfeng unexpectedly felt a mysterious Tao intent with the help of the God-Eater brain. This Tao intent was exactly the same as the Tao intent of the stone inscription that Xue Qinglan gave him, which made him overjoyed. He suddenly slowed down his climbing speed and controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the mysterious Tao intent of the Stairway of Providence. Like a sharp sword, cutting through the void, Jian Chun suddenly noticed that Yi Chunfeng had slowed down his climbing speed. He slightly frowned and revealed a trace of confusion. However, he didn't slow down his climbing speed. He interweaved with extremely sharp Tao intent, tearing through the heavy pressure of the space and gradually closing the distance between him and the gray ice mountain. Very soon, Gan Wuxin and Lu Yunhen, who were both level 1 beast kings, surpassed Yi Chunfeng and climbed to the top of the Stairway of Providence, entering the ancient Heaven Palace. Qingfeng, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Xue Xinyue, who was wearing a white martial arts suit and whose face was red, immediately asked when she caught up with Yi Chunfeng, who was climbing slowly with his eyes closed and his white martial arts suit. I'm fine. Keep it up. Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes and looked at Xue Xinyue's concerned eyes. He smiled and closed his eyes again, slowly climbing while comprehending the Tao intent. It's good that you're fine. I'm going to keep climbing. Thinking of Yi Chunfeng's shocking strength, Xue Xinyue didn't continue climbing for him, and kept climbing. As they climbed higher and higher, the levels of the Tower of Providence they condensed also increased, and the pressure also increased. At this moment, Jian Chun, who was as sharp as a sword, finally caught up with the heavily injured gray ice mountain when he reached the 17th level of the Tower of Providence, and stopped him. Jian Chun, I didn't expect you to be a person who takes advantage of others. A person like you can never reach the peak of martial arts. Gray Ice Mountain, who had yet to recover from his injuries, looked at the arrogant and fierce Jian Chun and said gloomily, The ancient Heaven Palace is the opportunity of the northern spiritual region. If you leave now, I can let you go this time. But if you insist on getting your hands on it, you'll have to ask if this sword of mine is willing. Jian Chun endured the pressure of the space and took out the Killing Calamity sword, which was a mid-grade heaven artifact that he rarely used, and was filled with a strong murderous aura. He pointed the tip of the sword at Gray Ice Mountain. However, Jian Chun, who had a firm martial heart, wasn't moved by his provocation. You won't be able to stop me. Gray Ice Mountain quickly swallowed several heaven-level soul pills and forcibly stabilized his injuries. He took out the demon sealing saber and locked onto Jian Chun. The two extremely talented geniuses fought on the 91st step of the Stairway of Providence. For mobile users, please visit /Piatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 434. Will of Wind, Heaven-Shaking Squall. Songbing Shan quickly unsealed the demon sealing saber and released a powerful demonic aura. He then used his heaven skill, Demonic Blood Saber. Will of Darkness, Devour. Blood-Splashing Sword. Jian Chen's sword was so fast that it tore a deep gash in the storm of destruction. The lightning-fast attack was too fast for the eyes to take in. Songbing Shan's body shook, and 10 shadow Dao patterns appeared. They instantly transformed into 10 shadows that increased his speed. He moved around in the limited space and dodged Jian Chen's attack. Jian Chen was not affected at all. He pushed his way of wind to the limit and launched a barrage of attacks at Azure Ice Mountain like a tidal wave. The fierce collisions caused shocking attacks. The space was shaking like water ripples, which shocked Xue Xinyue and the others who were trying their best to climb up the stairs. Shui Xinyue, who had climbed to the 68th step, looked at the two people who ignored the spatial pressure and fought on the 91st step. She sighed and felt a strong sense of defeat. They are fighting so soon. I wonder if Jian Chen will be able to kill the heavily injured Song Bingshan in his current state. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself as he watched Jian Chen gradually gain the upper hand in his attacks. As the god-devouring brain quickly deduced, Yi Chunfeng's understanding of the mysterious will of fate became deeper and deeper. Slowly, the spatial pressure had less and less effect on Yi Chunfeng. He seemed to have merged with the stairs of fate. If one did not look at him with their eyes, they would not be able to sense his existence. Jian Chen and Song Bingshan fought fiercely for half an hour. Jian Chen gradually gained the upper hand and leaped into the air against the terrifying spatial pressure. Song Bingshan was unable to dodge the attacks of nearly 100 crescent-shaped sword arcs that sealed the space. He could only fight back with all his strength. Song Bingshan activated his spirit beast bloodline and used the Ice Palace's Dao skill that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. When Song Bingshan executed the water dragon destruction, he had fused 10 Dao patterns of darkness into it. Therefore, the water dragon destruction he executed was even more destructive. When it collided with the densely packed sword shadows, it constantly minced the incomparably sharp sword shadows. As the two intents clashed in the air, Song Bingshan ignored his injuries and spat out a large amount of demonic light. It quickly condensed into a slowly blooming black lotus that rapidly expanded. It directly smashed through the shattered crescent moon and attacked Jian Chen. Grasping this opportunity, Song Bingshan quickly flapped his soul wings in an attempt to reach the 92nd step and break free from Jian Chen's entanglement. Heavenly Punishment Sword. Great Demon Slaying Dragon Blade. Boom! Not good. However, the power from the clash between Jian Chen and Song Bingshan was just too terrifying. The two of them could only endure it for 10 seconds before collapsing. Their defenses shattered, and they fell to the 80th step from the destructive force. Deep in the heart of the destructive energy, Blue Ice Mountain could no longer suppress the heavy injuries on his body. A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. His entire body was on the verge of collapse, and he could barely hold on. Blood Splatter Sword. At this critical moment, Song Bingshan placed the demon sealing saber in front of his chest and blocked Jian Chen's attack. He's not dead. However, he did not continue to pursue Song Bingshan. Instead, he faced the terrifying spatial pressure and quickly climbed to the top of the 99th step of the Stairway of Providence. He was the first to enter the mysterious and unknown ancient Heaven Palace that had not appeared for more than 10,000 years. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click Save at the bottom to record your reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 435. Song Bingshan really lost. Jian Chen is the first one to enter the ancient Heaven Palace. The reason why Yi Chunfeng was so calm was because he believed that the fortuitous encounter in the ancient Heaven Palace was not so easy to obtain. The mysterious Dao intent contained in the Stairway of Providence was very likely related to the fortuitous encounter in the ancient Heaven Palace. Yi Chunfeng continued to comprehend as he climbed. Qian Wuxin, Lu Yunhen, and the others relied on their own strength to withstand the increasing spatial pressure. They reached the 14th and 15th floors of the Tower of Providence and reached the 99th floor of the Stairway of Providence, entering the ancient Heaven Palace. Shui Piaoling, who was attacking the 9E9 extreme formation with all his strength, had been paying attention to Yi Chunfeng and the others. The other two geniuses of the Sword Valley, Jian Feng and Jian Hong, were also close to the 99th floor. Shui Xinyue, Shui Jinyan, and the others were about to reach the 90th floor of the Stairway of Providence. Yi Chunfeng had just reached the 73rd floor of the Stairway of Providence. When Yi Chunfeng reached the 87th floor of the Stairway of Providence, Jian Feng, Jian Hong, Xue Xinyue, and the others entered the ancient Heaven Palace one after another. Only Yi Chunfeng was left on the Stairway of Providence. At this time, Song Bingshan, who had consumed a large amount of heaven-level soul pills and spent an hour healing, stabilized his injuries and continued to climb the Stairway of Providence. He gradually closed the gap between him and Yi Chunfeng. When Yi Chunfeng reached the 90th floor of the Stairway of Providence, the God-Eater brain deduced a trace of the mysterious Tao intent. Yi Chunfeng suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a look of shock. He had never thought that he would have the chance to come in contact with the heavenly Tao, the foundation of all Taos. However, when a trace of the heavenly Tao appeared on the Stairway of Providence, Yi Chunfeng could not help but wonder if the ancient Heaven Palace had something to do with the heavenly Tao. Yi Chunfeng, were you waiting for me? Azure Ice Mountain, aren't you a little too narcissistic? Yi Chunfeng revealed a mocking smile as he spoke without any trace of politeness. Who knows what the future holds? Yi Chunfeng said indifferently, I only know that with me here, you can forget about entering the ancient Heaven Palace before me. You, what? You don't want to dance? I'm afraid that's not up to you. Yi Chunfeng, do you really think I'm afraid of you? It's fine if you're not afraid now, but you'll be in a while. Even at his peak, Blue Ice Mountain had lost to Yi Chunfeng, let alone now. Blood-smelting devil blade. Rumble. Looking at Azure Ice Mountain, who was at the center of the destructive storm, attacking with all his might, Yi Chunfeng continued to bombard him with wrath of divine punishment. Great Demon Slaying Dragon Blade. Azure Ice Mountain slashed out with the Demon Slaying Dragon Blade. Yi Chunfeng immediately fused the power of the two-headed Blood Dragon King behind him. He ignited his dragon bloodline and condensed 5 killing halos. 7 Sword of Judgment, Waning Moon. Rumble. In just 2 breaths, the great demon slaying dragon blade could not withstand the waning moon's sword light and shattered. Helpless, Song Bingshan, who did not dare to take the waning moon's sword light head-on, jumped down the Stairway of Providence in humiliation and fell to the first step again. Yi Chunfeng, I swear that today's humiliation will be returned tenfold. I will definitely kill you. However, he didn't know that the successive failures had already dealt a heavy blow to his strong martial heart. Yi Chunfeng's strength was deeply buried in his heart. After another hour, Yi Chunfeng, who had an epiphany, finally climbed to the 99th step of the Stairway of Providence and entered the ancient Heaven Palace. Mobile reading site, book address. To facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 436. Golden Palace. After passing through the Gate of Fortune, Yi Chunfeng arrived in a space filled with powerful fortune and spiritual qi. A huge, magnificent palace that was shining with dazzling golden light was located in the center of the space. Qian Wuxin, Lu Yunhen, Xue Xinyue, and the others who had entered the ancient Heaven Palace earlier were all gathered at the gate. They were attacking the restrictions with all they had, trying to get in. As expected, the ancient Heaven Palace is full of mysteries. It is not easy to get in. Yi Chunfeng looked at the people outside the Golden Palace. He immediately summoned the golden rock wings and flew over. Senior Brother Yi, you are finally here. Seeing Yi Chunfeng flying over, Xue Xinyue, Xue Jinyan, and the others seemed to have found their backbone. They immediately ran over. What? Is the restriction on the gate very powerful? Yi Chunfeng nodded at Xue Xinyue and the other Misty Mountain disciples and asked. Yes, the restriction on the gate is very powerful. Even with all of our powers, we still can't break it and get in. Xue Xinyue nodded and said, Let me try the power of this restriction. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng condensed a sword Dao pattern on his fingertip. Under his control, it turned into an extremely thin warship and struck the restriction outside the Golden Palace gate. It was like a waterfall that flowed rapidly. Buzz buzz. After being attacked by Yi Qianfeng's sword-based Dao pattern, ripples appeared on the surface of the rapidly flowing restriction. It easily blocked the incomparably sharp sword-based Dao pattern. Swish, swish, swish. After that attack, Yi Qianfeng continued to shoot out sword Dao patterns to attack the restriction on the gate. At the same time, the God-Eater brain's soul power radiated out and seeped into the violently fluctuating restriction. It quickly deduced and found the weakness of the restriction. Yi Qianfeng continued to attack for the time it took for half an incense stick to burn. Suddenly, a light that was even more dazzling than the stars shot out from his deep eyes. He locked onto a corner of the palace door's restriction and exploded with an astonishing attack power. Eternal Night. 5 slaughter halos appeared behind him, and the rolling slaughter power contained 5 million kilograms of force. 23 sword Dao patterns were instantly infused into the monarch weapon. A black battleship that stole the heavens and the earth tore through the sky. It was like a spatial crack that was rapidly spreading, and it struck the weak point of the palace door's restriction. Crack! A loud shattering sound rang out, and a scene that shocked everyone happened. The restriction on the palace door that everyone couldn't break even with their combined strength shattered like glass under the attack of Yi Qianfeng's Evernight warship, revealing the golden palace door carved with ancient patterns and inlaid with 2 primordial beast heads. Let's go. Yi Qianfeng glanced at the dumbstruck crowd that had sunk into deep shock. He slowly walked to the front of the golden palace's door, and with a burst of astonishing strength, he pushed open the Golden Palace's door that weighed 1,000,000 jin and walked into the ancient Golden Palace. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Everyone followed Yi Qianfeng into the Golden Palace. Thousands of moonstones that were embedded on the walls of the palace emitted white light at the same time, illuminating the Golden Palace, which had golden coiled dragon pillars and ancient totems carved on the walls. There was a 3-meter diameter stone that was full of marks. It was completely black and lusterless, and it was floating in mid-air strangely. It attracted everyone's attention. Such a powerful soul spirit. When Yi Qianfeng's soul spirit scanned this black stone, he felt a horrifying soul spirit slowly awakening. I have been sleeping for 13,000 years. Finally, someone came to the ancient heaven palace. An aged soul spirit appeared from the black stone. It looked at Yi Qianfeng and the others with turbid eyes and spoke with a distant voice. Juniors, welcome. Senior, are you the palace spirit of the ancient heaven palace? Looking at the aged soul spirit, Yi Qianfeng immediately guessed its identity. Only the palace spirit that had a symbiotic relationship with the ancient heaven palace could survive for such a long time. Correct, I am the palace spirit of the ancient heaven palace, and also the examiner of this place. The aged soul looked at Yi Qianfeng with its turbid eyes and said, Junior, you are very special. Your soul is the most powerful one I have seen in 80 million years. 80 million years? Yi Qianfeng raised his eyebrows. He had eaten the long history of the ancient heaven palace. Senior, how was the ancient heaven palace formed? Jianchen glanced at Yi Qianfeng and asked. You don't need to know the origin of the ancient heaven palace. However, if you can pass the test, you can obtain the inheritance of the ancient heaven palace. As for what level of inheritance you can obtain, it will depend on your own abilities. However, 2 of you have condensed the 18th level of the Tower of Fortune, so you have a chance to challenge the highest level. If you succeed, you can obtain the most powerful inheritance of the ancient heaven palace. The ancient palace spirit said. The most powerful inheritance, could it be the heavenly Tao? Yi Qianfeng raised his eyebrows slightly. He could vaguely guess what the most powerful inheritance of the ancient heaven palace was. Senior, is it true that as long as you condense the 18th level of the Tower of Fortune, you will have a chance to challenge the highest level? At this moment, a deep voice rang out. Song Bingshan, who had condensed the 18th level of the Tower of Fortune, appeared with a gloomy expression. He glanced at Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chun and asked, "Yes, you have condensed the 18th level of the Tower of Fortune, so you have a chance to challenge the highest level." The palace spirit glanced around and nodded. "Senior, he is not from the Northern Spirit region. The opportunities of the Northern Spirit region cannot be obtained by him." Xue Jinyan glared at Song Bingshan and said loudly, "The opportunities of the ancient times belong to those who are capable. All right, prepare to accept the test." The palace spirit said without a trace of emotion. Hearing that the palace spirit did not reject him, Song Bingshan secretly let out a sigh of relief. He decided to properly compete with Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chun. Rumble! While Yi Chunfeng and the others were waiting, a huge rumble came from the back of the palace, revealing 5 mysterious tunnels. Above the tunnels, the words of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth flashed. In these 5 tunnels, there are 5 elemental formations of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth respectively. You can choose your own acupoints to challenge them. Once you pass the challenge, you will enter the core area of the ancient Heaven Palace. At that time, I will arrange the difficulty of the final test according to your completion level. Remember, only by passing the test perfectly will you have the right to challenge the highest level. The palace spirit pointed at the 5 mysterious tunnels and slowly introduced them. All right, the test begins. You can enter the tunnel for the test. The 3 of you have condensed the 18th level of the Tower of Fortune, so you have the priority to enter the tunnel, the palace spirit said slowly. As soon as the palace spirit finished speaking, Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 moved at the same time, charging into the 5 mysterious tunnels. Using the Shadow Dao intent, Song Bingshan, who was extremely fast, directly broke through the restrictions of the wood tunnel and rushed in. Yi Chunfeng and Jian Chun respectively broke through the metal tunnel and fire tunnel and disappeared from the Golden Palace. After Yi Chunfeng and the others broke through the 3 elemental tunnels, Qian Wuxin, Lu Yunhen, and the others did the same. Soon, everyone entered the 5 elemental tunnels to accept the test of the ancient Heaven Palace. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 437. Rumble. He found himself in a world of thunder and lightning. Bolts of lightning flashed in the thick clouds, tearing apart space and bombarding the earth, causing the ground to tremble. Just as Yi Chunfeng was looking at the world of lightning before him, his sharp senses suddenly detected danger. Lightning flashed under his feet, and like a bolt of lightning, he appeared 10 meters away. Defeat me and you will be qualified to challenge the 9x9 Heavenly Thunder Array. Level 2 Beast King. Just relying on his physical strength, Yi Chunfeng could crush an ordinary level 4 Beast King. And if he used all his trump cards, Yi Chunfeng could compete with a level 6 Beast King. Therefore, this kind of level skipping test was no threat to him. The power of the spiritual pearls in his Shenmen and Yongquan meridians completely erupted. Rolling power surged in his body like a tide. In an instant, he had a strength of 2.5 million Jin. Yi Chunfeng stepped out, causing a loud thud. His entire body was like an arrow released from a bow. He rushed toward the Guardian, wanting to defeat him quickly and start the test. He approached the Lightning Guardian with a force of 2.5 million Jin. Black heavenly flames gushed out of his fist, turning into a black scorching sun. It distorted the space and blasted out. The air currents in the great sun heavenly fire fist surged the instant it was blasted out. Rumble, rumble, rumble! In the 5 elements, fire suppressed metal. This was also the reason why Yi Chunfeng chose the most dangerous metal path. However, the highly intelligent Guardian reacted quickly. His entire body turned into a bolt of lightning, dodging the remaining power of the heavenly fire fist and appearing in midair. Rumble! Under the wanton destruction of the fury of God's punishment, the Guardian's body shattered, turning into streaks of dark blue heavenly lightning and a Longan-sized pearl that contained great power. So the key to defeating him is to destroy this pearl. Myriad lightning blasts. Roar. Flame dragon destroys the world. 9 dragons sword slash. Boom. Like a hot knife through butter, the 9 flame dragon sword lights shattered the lightning tiger, revealing the lightning dragon's eye pearl, which had cracks all over its heart. Just as the thunder dragon's eye dragon pearl was about to continue its reconstruction, Yi Chunfeng suddenly approached it and summoned the Chaos Divine Wood to devour it. Boom boom boom. However, the Chaos Divine Wood was its nemesis. No matter how much energy it released, it was useless. In the end, it was devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to slowly infuse the Lightning Dragon's eye lightning bead's energy into the ancient extreme purple lightning, increasing its strength. Examinee, you now have the qualifications to challenge the 9x9 heavenly lightning array. The time limit is 1 incense stick. If you are unable to pass the 9x9 heavenly lightning array within 1 incense stick's worth of time, you will fail the examination. Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but reveal a solemn expression when he found out the time to challenge the 9x9 heavenly lightning array. While Yi Chunfeng was meditating outside the 9x9 heavenly lightning formation, controlling the lightning dragon's eye to fuse with the ancient extreme violet lightning to increase his foundation, Jian Chen, Song Bing Shan, Gan Wuxin, and the others were also being tested. On the other hand, Xue Xinyue, Xue Jinyan, and the others were facing a level 2 defiant beast king. Xue Xinyue, Xue Jinyan, and the others were all eliminated. They were directly sent out of the ancient heaven palace by the palace spirit and lost the precious opportunity to obtain the great fortune of the ancient heaven palace. With the help of the Chaos Divine Wood, the ancient extreme purple lightning and the lightning dragon's eye lightning bead were fused together perfectly. The examination begins now. Whoosh! Originally, /bk/hl/30/30709/ mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom of the page. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 438. Rumble. The moment Yi Chunfeng turned into a golden light and rushed into the world of thunder, he detonated the thousands of violent thunderbolts in the thunderclouds. The entire world of thunder was in chaos as countless electric snakes danced in the air, bombarding Yi Chunfeng and slowing down his flying speed. Sword Dao pattern, tear the thunderbolts. Yi Chunfeng controlled the thunder Dao pattern. The black flame skyfire and the ancient extreme purple thunder revolved around his body. The moment he withstood the thousands of violent thunderbolts, 10 sword Dao patterns shot out and tore through the layers of heavenly thunder with irresistible force. He flew towards the world of thunder without any reduction in speed. Roar! Roar! Yi Chunfeng flew rapidly for more than 10 breaths of time, and a series of ferocious beast roars echoed. In the world of violent thunder, a large number of ferocious thunder beasts appeared and roared at Yi Chunfeng. Double-headed Blood Dragon King fuse. After being surrounded by a large number of thunder beasts, Yi Chunfeng decisively fused with the double-headed Blood Dragon King and greatly increased his strength. He flapped his golden rock wings and fearlessly flew over to fight with the thunder beasts. Sword Dao pattern, grind and exterminate. Yi Chunfeng, who was fighting at extreme speed, quickly turned his body around. 23 sword Dao patterns gushed out and revolved around his body, forming an whirlpool. He frenziedly crushed the thunder beasts as he tried his best to break out of the encirclement. Boom! At this moment, the thick dark clouds trembled. A deep purple thunderbolt that was as thick as a bucket and had reached the limit of spiritual thunder descended from the sky. It was like a flood dragon that descended to the mortal world and bombarded Yi Chunfeng, who had transformed into an whirlpool. Sun Skyfire Fist. The ore whirlpool was forcefully torn apart by the deep purple thunderbolt. The black flame skyfire immediately fused into Yi Chunfeng's fist. A round of demonic black sun fist radiance faced the sky and shattered the purple thunderbolt attack. After the purple thunderbolt was shattered, the golden rock wings flapped rapidly. Yi Chunfeng was like a hurricane and suddenly increased his speed. He drew out afterimages in the world of thunder and continued to accelerate. After more than 30 breaths of time, Yi Chunfeng crossed the outer region of the world of thunder and entered the central region. With the activation of the 9x9 heavenly thunder array, the thick dark clouds in the sky became as black as ink. Countless lightning dragons rolled about in the dark clouds. It was as if the entire world would shatter at any moment. The terrifying aura made people feel like their insides were being torn apart. This is the power of heavenly lightning. When Yi Chunfeng sensed that the power of the lightning in the dark clouds had surpassed the ancient purple lightning and reached the level of heavenly lightning, he could not help but reveal a grave expression. A test of heavenly thunder. What a big deal. Yi Chunfeng's eyes burned with a strong fighting spirit. His unyielding will was not affected in the slightest. With a flash, he rushed into the area of heavenly lightning and accepted the baptism of heavenly lightning. Rumble! Hundreds of bolts of heavenly lightning, accompanied by huge lightning balls, broke through the thick dark clouds, twisting the space and bombarding Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying power made him feel suffocated. Flying immortal sword slash. Facing the concentrated attacks of the heavenly thunder, 5 killing halos appeared behind him. The rolling killing power and 5 million kilograms of force were infused into the monarch weapon. A meteor-like battleship that seemed to have come from the outer space was fused with the sword Dao pattern and the thunder Dao pattern and cleaved towards the incoming heavenly thunder. As a series of dense explosions rang out, a deep sword mark appeared in the chaotic space. The flying immortal sword tore through the incoming heavenly lightning like a hot knife through butter and opened up a passage. Wind riding technique. There was a limited time to grab the heavenly lightning. Yi Chunfeng suddenly accelerated and turned into a wind shadow. He penetrated through the heavenly lightning passage that was torn apart by the flying immortal sword and flew rapidly. Just as Yi Chunfeng was using all his skills to tear through the heavenly lightning and fly, Yi Chunfeng's sharp senses suddenly sensed something. A power that made his heart palpitate suddenly appeared and locked onto him. In the next moment, a strange gray lightning appeared. It was like a meandering spatial crack and struck towards Yi Chunfeng at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. Yi Chunfeng's reaction was extremely fast. However, when he was attacked by the gray lightning, he felt like he had nowhere to dodge. He decisively wielded his king weapon and counterattacked. When the king weapon, which was intertwined with the sword Dao pattern and thunder Dao pattern, struck the gray lightning, Yi Chunfeng felt a powerful Dao intent pass through the king weapon and into his arm. It immediately injured his arm and caused it to bleed profusely. This isn't lightning. It is a move that has fused with the heaven Dao. He felt that the power that injured his arm was the same as the heaven Dao quintessence that the God-Eater brain had deduced. He was completely sure that the gray lightning was a heaven Dao move. Heaven Dao move. If I can master it, its power will probably surpass the 7 swords of judgment. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He was very interested in the mysterious move hidden in the 9x9 heavenly thunder array. Dao pattern of life, recover. With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, 10 Dao patterns of life fused into his bloody arm and instantly healed the injury on his arm. He raised his speed to the peak and continued to fly towards the thunder spatial domain. By now, half an incense stick had already passed. At the same time, Jian Chen, Song Bingshan, Qian Wuxin, and Lu Yunhen entered their respective test spaces to take the test. Yep, another heaven Dao move. As he flew, Yi Chunfeng's sharp senses sensed another heaven Dao move coming towards him. The power of the God-Eater brain radiated outwards to sense the attack's trajectory. The king weapon collided with the Heaven Dao move. Yi Chunfeng's body trembled as boundless energy shot out from the tip of the king weapon. It created a large number of ripples and injured him once again. The instant Yi Chunfeng used the king weapon to block the Heaven Dao move, he controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the changes of the Heaven Dao move and attempted to comprehend it. In 3 breaths' time, the Heaven Dao move shattered. Yi Chunfeng's arm was covered in centipede-like wounds from the terrifying power. Large amounts of blood flowed out uncontrollably. However, with the recovery of the Dao pattern of life, Yi Chunfeng's arm instantly recovered. Most of the wounds were completely healed. Using the comprehension of the Heaven Dao earlier, the God-Eater brain captured the truth of the Heaven Dao move and started to deduce it in Yi Chunfeng's mind. Swish! Swish! Yi Chunfeng didn't stop at all. He forcefully tore through the bolts of lightning and slowly approached the lightning space. At this moment, 2 more Heaven Dao moves suddenly tore through the chaotic space and cleaved towards him from the left and right. When facing these 2 Heaven Dao moves, Yi Chunfeng didn't evade. Instead, he burst out with powerful strength and clashed with the Heaven Dao moves to create an opportunity for the God-Eater brain to deduce. After a series of deafening explosions, Yi Chunfeng was sent flying by the 2 Heaven Dao moves. His entire body was engulfed by the boundless bolts of lightning. Without a choice, Yi Chunfeng burned his dragon bloodline and transformed into his strongest combat form. He raised his strength to the peak and forcefully tore through the engulfing bolts of lightning. He controlled the recovery of the Dao pattern of life and continued to exchange moves with the 2 Heaven Dao moves. The God-Eater brain saw how Yi Chunfeng fought against the Heaven Dao moves at all costs and deepened its comprehension of the Heaven Dao move. Finally, Yi Chunfeng paid the price of multiple injuries on his body and a large number of shattered blood dragon scales to shatter the 2 Heaven Dao moves. Recovery of the Dao pattern of life. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and controlled the 10 Dao patterns of life to quickly recover his injuries. He continued to speed up and break through. He executed his moves repeatedly and tore through the bolts of lightning. Finally, after close to 30 minutes, he arrived at the lightning space and saw the spatial passageway to leave. Yes, 5 Heaven Dao moves. Looking at the spatial passageway in the distance, Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul spirit suddenly sensed the 5 Heaven Dao moves hidden in the spatial passageway. They were Heaven Dao moves that could unleash fatal attacks at any moment. Could the number 9 in the 9x9 Heavenly Thunder array be these 9 Heaven Dao moves? Yi Chunfeng guessed where the core of the 9x9 Heavenly Thunder array was and was even more aware of the 5 Heaven Dao moves attacking at the same time. However, the Heaven Dao moves were too attractive. He gave up on the thought of using speed to forcefully break through. He prepared to use the limited time to face the 5 Heaven Dao moves and deepen his comprehension of the Heaven Dao move. For mobile users, please visit /mph. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 439. Dragon Bloodline, burn all of it! Yi Chunfeng roared as all the dragon bloodline in his body was ignited. The powerful bloodline power surged in his body, increasing the strength of his beast's soul form to the greatest extent. The blood dragon scales that covered his body also became more solid, reflecting rays of blood-red light. In an instant, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength reached 7 million jin. His powerful physical strength directly dispersed the heavenly lightning in the air, preventing them from getting close to him. So, with his strength raised to the limit, the golden rock wings flapped rapidly, stirring up layers of wind. Yi Chunfeng held the sovereign armament and directly charged into the spatial tunnel. Buzz buzz buzz! As Yi Chunfeng rapidly closed in, a series of spatial vibrations suddenly rang out. The 5 heavenly Dao techniques that were hidden in the space were like meteors, tearing through space and bombarding Yi Chunfeng at a speed that was several times faster than the speed of light. Facing the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao that could kill a 6th-grade defiant beast king, Yi Qinfeng's deep eyes didn't have a trace of fear. Under the control of his will, the power of the God-Eater brain radiated outwards, sensing the trajectory and changes of the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao. These 5 moves of the heavenly Tao are mysterious. Under the deduction of the God-Eater brain, Yi Qinfeng discovered that the connection between the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao was very subtle. The Tao intents complemented each other, unknowingly increasing the offensive power of the 5 moves, bringing about a fatal threat to him. No, I have to break the connection between the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, it is very likely that I will be killed by them. At the thought of this, Yi Qinfeng, whose strength had reached the limit, decisively erupted with all his foundation and executed the strongest Tao technique he currently knew. 7 Swords of Judgment, Sun Eclipse. Boundless energy fused into the sovereign armament. Yi Qinfeng struck out, and a scarlet light that was like the scorching sun rose, carrying with it the power to destroy everything. It was like a sea overturning the heavens and earth, tearing apart the space in front of him and slashing at the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao that complemented each other. Rumble, rumble, rumble! A series of loud explosions rang out. Filled with destructive power, the sun eclipse shattered the connection between the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao and fiercely repelled the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao. The powerful force caused the entire space to distort. One of the heavenly Tao moves of the sun eclipses attacked directly, causing cracks to appear. Swish! Yi Qinfeng transformed into a streak of light. With the ruler armament in hand, he took the risk and charged into the midst of the 5 heavenly Tao techniques that were exploding with astonishing power. He attacked the heavenly Tao techniques with all his might, continuously creating opportunities for the God-Eater brain to deduce the Tao intent. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Raising his offensive and defensive capabilities to their limits, Yi Qinfeng continued to clash fiercely with the heavenly Tao's move. Slowly, the space around Yi Qinfeng was torn apart by powerful rebounding forces, forming dense ripples. The entire space seemed like it could shatter at any moment. As for Yi Qinfeng, when he exchanged blows with the 5 forms of the heavenly Tao, it created a huge commotion. It was as if a huge bell had appeared between the heavens and earth, vibrating intensely in the air. The terrifying sound made people want to worship it. Yi Qinfeng clashed with the 5 moves of the heavenly Tao for several hundred rounds in an extremely short period of time. He paid the price of many injuries on his body and a large portion of his blood dragon scales being damaged. Finally, he shattered the shattered heavenly Tao. The instant the heavenly Tao shattered, the God-Eater's Tao intents were quickly grasped by the Tao within, deepening its comprehension of the heavenly Tao. Water of heavenly fate, Tao of life, recover. Yi Qinfeng quickly drank a mouthful of the water of heavenly fate, recovering his expended soul force. He also controlled the Tao of life to heal his heavy injuries. He continued to clash with the 4 moves of the heavenly Tao. At this moment, there wasn't much time left. Yi Qinfeng, who was in a desperate battle, couldn't help but reveal a trace of anxiety. 400 years of lifespan, burn. Yi Qinfeng made up his mind and executed the life spirit technique, burning 400 years of lifespan. A powerful life force erupted in his body, forcibly raising his cultivation level and greatly increasing his strength. It allowed him to have the strength to defeat a grade 6 defiant beast king for a short period of time. The reason why Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate to use his final trump card was because he had a feeling that the 9 moves of the heavenly way of the 9 heavenly thunders were most likely related to Gong Ling's test. Otherwise, the 9 moves of the heavenly Tao wouldn't be one move that contained Tao intent, attack trajectory, and attack strength. Sword of Flying Immortal. 4 slaughter moves. Fiery Dragon destroys the world. 7 Swords of Judgment. With his strength skyrocketing, Yi Chunfeng made use of the limited time to continuously execute powerful heavenly skills and Dao skills, bombarding the 4 moves of the heavenly Dao. Under his relentless attacks, another move of the heavenly Dao was shattered. 2 moves of the heavenly Dao were shattered, and Yi Chunfeng's pressure was greatly reduced. He ignored his injuries and continued to attack the 3 moves of the heavenly Dao. Finally, when the time was almost up, the blood dragon scale was almost completely shattered, and there were many holes in his body. Yi Chunfeng, who was barely holding on with his will, managed to shatter the 3 moves of the heavenly Dao. The 5 moves of the heavenly Dao were all shattered, and the God-Eater brain successfully deduced the embryonic form of the heavenly Dao, deepening his understanding of the heavenly Dao. Swish! Yi Chunfeng endured his injuries and flapped his golden rock wings violently. His entire body turned into a stream of light, breaking into the spatial tunnel and disappearing from the thunder spatial space. He came to a divine palace that was engraved with a large number of ancient patterns and had an ancient aura. The ancient Gong Ling that he saw previously was floating in the divine palace, looking at him with gratification. "I didn't misjudge you. You are indeed very outstanding. Alright, have a good rest. When their test is over, I will evaluate your test and then conduct the final test according to your score," the ancient Gong Ling said in a deep voice. "Yes, senior." Yi Chunfeng nodded and sat cross-legged on the cold ground. He controlled the 10 life Dao patterns and quickly healed his injuries. At the same time, the 9E9 Extreme Array and the Ancient Heaven Array were still fiercely repelling each other. Waves of energy swept across the sky like a magnificent army, causing the entire sky to be filled with cracks. Elder Ming, the 9 array bases of the 9E9 Extreme Array were all damaged at the same time. "I don't think it will last much longer." The worried Bing Qingchuan came to the side of the black-robed elder and told him about the situation of the 9E9 Extreme Array. The ancient Heaven City is indeed an ancient ruin. The array it contains is indeed powerful, but it still can't change their fate of being eliminated. The black-robed elder standing at the foot of the ancient Heaven Mountain lifted his head and looked at the 9E9 Extreme Array that was faintly unable to withstand the attacks of the ancient Heaven Array. He took out his communication pearl and sent out an order. Only by killing Xue Tianqi and the others could they safely enter the ancient Heaven Palace's Azure Ice Mountain. Roughly half an hour later, at the foot of the ancient Heavens Mountain, there were 9 pillars of blood that soared straight into the clouds and entered the 9E9 Extremes Array. Tens of thousands of civilians that had been kidnapped by the experts of the Western Devil Sect appeared next to them. Then, these defenseless civilians, who were screaming in fear, were mercilessly killed by the Western Devil Sect experts. They were thrown into the blood pillars and turned into a large amount of blood chi that merged with the 9E9 Extreme Array. When the 9E9 Extreme Array merged with the blood chi of tens of thousands of innocent civilians, the cracks caused by the ancient Heaven Array were instantly repaired. The terrifying power of 9E9 was like a violent thunderstorm that bombarded the ancient Heaven Array, suppressing it and causing the entire ancient Heaven City to tremble. Once the ancient Heaven Array was destroyed by the 9E9 Extreme Array, Xue Tianqi and the others would be in danger and be refined to death by the power of the 9E9 Extreme Array. As the pressure from the ancient Heaven Array increased, the shaking of the ancient Heaven City became more and more violent. Xue Tianqi and the others, who failed to break through, smelled the scent of death. For mobile users, please visit /Piatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 440. Wang. While Yi Chunfeng was concentrating on healing his wounds, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Covered in blood, with a deep wound on his chest that revealed the white bone, Song Bingshan was the second person to break into the ancient divine palace. However, his injuries were clearly much worse than Yi Chunfeng's. When he saw Yi Chunfeng sitting cross-legged, his expression changed and a trace of panic appeared in his eyes. "Song Bingshan, we meet again." Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes and looked at the heavily injured Song Bingshan. He slowly spoke without hiding the killing intent in his heart. Yi Chunfeng, are you also a despicable person who takes advantage of others? Song Bingshan was well aware of his current situation. With his current physical condition, there was no way he could escape Yi Chunfeng's pursuit. Song Bingshan, you don't need to provoke me. I have never shown mercy to my enemies. Yi Chunfeng snorted coldly and remained unmoved. So, killing an enemy like you will not affect my martial heart in the slightest. You, sensing the killing intent in Yi Chunfeng's eyes, Song Bingshan quickly swallowed a heaven-level soul pill and did his best to heal his injuries so that he could fight with all his strength. All of you stop. No one is allowed to fight here, or else I will expel you from the ancient heaven palace. At this moment, the ancient palace spirit spoke and warned in an irresistible tone. Hearing the ancient palace spirit's words, Song Bingshan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The heaven-level soul pill he had just swallowed was the most precious pill he had. No matter how serious his injuries were, they could instantly heal 80% of his injuries. But just as he swallowed it, he was warned not to fight by the ancient palace spirit. This made him feel like he was being toyed with. Yi Chunfeng, just you wait. Once I obtain the most precious opportunity here, I will definitely kill you. Song Bingshan did not dare to resent the ancient palace spirit. He could only glare at Yi Chunfeng and gnash his teeth as he swore in his heart. Wung wung. Suddenly, another sound of space shaking resounded. Jian Chun was also heavily injured. His snow-white robes were soaked in blood as he was the third to enter the divine hall. His cold eyes swept over Yi Chunfeng and Blue Ice Mountain. He quickly swallowed a heaven-rank soul pill and sat cross-legged on the cold ground to heal his injuries. About half an hour later, Qian Wuxin, whose body had been pierced by the heavenly Tao, was the fourth one to enter the palace. He was on his last breath, and he was the fourth one to enter the palace. However, the genius of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Lu Yunhen, who was at the level 1 Beast King realm, was unable to pass the test within the limited time and was tragically eliminated. He was then transported out of the ancient heaven palace by the ancient palace spirit. Alright, all of you have 1 day to recuperate. After 1 day, the assessment will begin. The ancient palace spirit looked at Yi Chunfeng and the other 3 who were trying their best to recuperate and said in a deep voice. Time passed second by second. Yi Chunfeng and the other 3 were like 4 statues, sitting cross-legged in the divine hall without moving at all. They used the limited time to quickly heal their injuries. While they were trying their best to recuperate, the ancient runes on the ground of the divine hall emitted a strange power that drilled into their bodies and sped up their recovery. Very soon, a day had passed. After a day of recuperation, Yi Chunfeng and the other 3 had basically recovered from their injuries. They were now waiting for the assessment from the ancient palace spirit. The assessment this time would directly determine whether they would have the opportunity to obtain the most precious fortune in the ancient heaven palace. Let's start with you. The ancient palace spirit floated in the air and looked at Qian Wuxin, who was the last one to enter the divine hall, with an expectant expression. You have condensed 15 floors of the Tower of Fortune. Each floor will give you 1 point, a total of 15 points. You have passed the test perfectly, 10 points. You have passed the 9x9 Earth formation in half an hour, 10 points, a total of 35 points. You can challenge the lowest difficulty test of the ancient heaven palace. Passing the test will give you a low-level inheritance of the ancient heaven palace. 35 points, so low. Qian Wuxin's joy from passing the test of the 9x9 Earth formation was completely gone after learning his final score. His prideful heart took a heavy blow, and a bitter and sad expression appeared on his face. Okay, it's your turn. The ancient palace spirit looked at the cold and emotionless Jian Chun and slowly said, condensing the highest floor of the Tower of Fortune is 20 points, passing the test perfectly is 10 points, passing the 9x9 heavenly fire formation in half an hour is 10 points, and defeating 5 heavenly Tao moves is 25 points, a total of 65 points. You can challenge the intermediate difficulty test of the Ancient Heaven Palace. Passing the test will give you a medium-level inheritance of the Ancient Heaven Palace. As expected, the heavenly Tao moves are related to the final assessment. Hearing Jian Chen's final score, Yi Chenfeng's eyebrows slightly twitched, and a trace of joy appeared on his face. 65 points, can only challenge the intermediate difficulty. After learning his final score, Jian Chen's cold face was filled with disappointment. However, he recovered very quickly, making it impossible for others to see through his thoughts. Next, it's your turn. The ancient palace spirit looked at the ugly Tsang Bingshan and said, condensing the highest floor of the Tower of Fortune is 20 points, passing the test perfectly is 10 points, passing the 9x9 heavenly fire formation in half an hour is 10 points, and defeating 4 heavenly Tao moves is 20 points, a total of 60 points. You can challenge the intermediate difficulty test of the Ancient Heaven Palace. Passing the test will give you a medium-level inheritance of the Ancient Heaven Palace. Damn it, the difficulty of the Ancient Heaven Palace is so high. Song Bingshan's face was filled with anger. He never thought that the heavenly Tao moves that threatened his life would be the key to the final assessment. Fortunately, although his score was 5 points lower than Jian Chen's, they had the same level of difficulty. Moreover, he didn't believe that Yi Chenfeng's score was much higher than his. After all, facing 5 heavenly Tao moves at the end, even a true Class 6 Reverse Beast King would have a hard time defeating them all. Junior, it's your turn. Condensing the highest floor of the Tower of Fortune is 20 points, passing the test perfectly is 10 points, passing the 9x9 heavenly lightning formation in half an hour is 10 points, and defeating 9 heavenly Tao moves is 45 points, a total of 85 points. You can challenge the intermediate difficulty test of the Ancient Heaven Palace. Passing the test will give you a medium-level inheritance of the Ancient Heaven Palace. What? He defeated 9 heavenly Tao moves. How did he do it? After hearing Yi Chenfeng's final score, Song Bingshan's face was like he had seen a ghost. His pride had taken a heavy blow. Fortunately, although Yi Chenfeng's score was high, he didn't have the right to challenge the highest difficulty test. This allowed him to breathe a sigh of relief. As for Jian Chen and Qian Wuxin, their arrogant faces revealed a trace of surprise. They looked at Yi Chenfeng with admiration. Senior, how can I get full points and challenge the highest difficulty test of the Ancient Heaven Palace? Yi Chenfeng wasn't satisfied with this result. He slightly frowned and asked, if you want to get 15 points, you need to complete an additional condition. That is to use the heavenly Tao move that tested you. As long as you can use the embryonic form of the heavenly Tao move, you will get 15 points. I don't know which of the 4 of you has comprehended it. The ancient palace spirit said. To challenge the highest difficulty test of the Ancient Heaven Palace, you need to comprehend the heavenly Tao move. Who the hell came up with such a crazy method? Song Bingshan angrily cursed in his heart. To be like Yi Chenfeng and destroy 9 heavenly Tao moves was already heaven-defying enough. But to comprehend the heavenly Tao move while walking on the edge of life and death, Song Bingshan firmly believed that no one in this world could do it. Even Jian Chen, who had a strong martial heart, was shaken by the condition of getting full points. He helplessly shook his head. Senior, let me try. Just as everyone helplessly accepted the reality and prepared to accept the final test of the Ancient Heaven Palace, Yi Chenfeng stood proudly and took a deep breath. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 441. What? Yi Chenfeng's words were like the devil's voice from hell, echoing in Song Bingshan's ears. Song Bingshan's eyes were wide open, and his mouth was wide open. His body was stiff as he stood there. Jian Chen and Qian Wuxin also looked at Yi Chenfeng. Aside from shock, there was also a trace of expectation. You comprehended a heavenly Tao technique? The ancient palace spirit's starry eyes shone as he looked at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face. He was pleasantly surprised. I didn't fully comprehend it, but I can still use it in its embryonic form. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Quick, quick, show it to me. The ancient palace spirit's calm face was filled with excitement. If Yi Chunfeng could really use a heavenly Tao technique under such harsh conditions, then he would be the first to do so in tens of millions of years. Okay. Yi Chunfeng nodded and closed his eyes. He controlled the God-Eater brain to slowly deduce the heavenly Tao technique. The aura of the heavenly Tao, the foundation of all Taos, slowly spread out from his body. Heavenly Tao, it really is the heavenly Tao. Feeling the aura of the heavenly Tao from Yi Chunfeng's body, the ancient palace spirit became even more excited. He had a feeling that Yi Chunfeng could really inherit the ancient heaven palace's most precious will of the heavenly Tao. Even if the ancient heaven palace was destroyed in the near future, it wouldn't have any regrets. Motherf **Ker, is the gap between our talent really that big? As one of the top 2 geniuses of the Western Devil sect, a rank 7 Holy Land, Blue Ice Mountain had always been the target of envy and pursuit. However, ever since he met Yi Chunfeng, not only had he suffered the most painful defeat of his life, a crack had even appeared in his powerful martial heart. The talent and arrogance that he was so proud of had been trampled by Yi Chunfeng. This made him wonder if Yi Chunfeng was his life's nemesis. Around 15 minutes later, Yi Chunfeng suddenly opened his eyes. The god-devouring brain's calculation speed had reached its limit. Strands of incomplete heavenly energy surged out of his palm and rapidly gathered. Yi Chunfeng pushed out his palms, and the power of the heavenly Tao gathered in his palms gushed out. It turned into an illusory light and blasted towards the walls of the divine hall. And the illusory shadow that Yi Chunfeng blasted out was exactly the same as the heavenly Tao moves of the 99 heavenly thunder formation. Its attack trajectory and Tao intent were completely the same, completely surpassing the level of its embryonic form. Boom! A loud explosion came from the walls of the divine palace. A large amount of divine light and the power of the great path intertwined, causing dense water ripples to appear in the space. He really did it. Jian Chun raised an eyebrow. For the first time, he felt admiration for a person. Meanwhile, Songbing Shan and Qian Wuxin were stunned by this scene. Their minds went blank as they stared at Yi Chunfeng as if they were looking at a monster. Good, good, good. Junior, you are the most talented person I have seen in tens of millions of years. Now that you have successfully used the heartless heavenly Tao, you are completely qualified to challenge the most difficult trial of the ancient heaven palace. If you can pass, you will be able to inherit the most precious legacy of the ancient heaven palace. As for what it is, you should have guessed it already. The ancient spirit wasn't stingy with its praise. Thank you, senior. Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly and bowed deeply to the ancient palace spirit, thanking it gratefully. Don't thank me yet, the ancient spirit said. Whether you can obtain the most precious legacy of the ancient heaven palace or not still depends on you. And once you fail, you will most likely lose your life, so challenging the highest difficulty of the ancient heaven palace might seem like a great fortune, but it also comes with great risk. I understand, senior. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said with a firm tone, since ancient times opportunities and opportunities have coexisted. But no matter how great the risk, it cannot stop me from moving forward. Good, good, good. Everyone, prepare yourselves. I will help you open the spatial channel. Feeling Yi Chunfeng's unyielding faith and fearless spirit, the ancient spirit revealed a satisfied expression. It began to control the ancient and profound runes in the temple and forcibly opened 4 stair-like spatial channels. Remember, you only have 1 day to accept the final trial. After 1 day, regardless of whether you pass or not, the trial will end. But after the trial, I will give extra rewards to those who obtain the legacy. You will be sent to the ancient blood pool to cultivate for one day. After that, you will leave this place, the ancient spirit said after opening the 4 spatial channels. Yi Chenfeng, do your best. You must obtain the highest legacy. Jian Chen looked at Yi Chenfeng's angular and sharp profile and took the initiative to speak. Do your best. Qian Wuxin also gave his blessings. You too. Yi Chenfeng revealed a faint smile and nodded to Jian Chen and Qian Wuxin. Summoning the golden ping wings, he turned into a streak of golden light and flew towards the spatial channel at the top. Yi Chenfeng, I don't believe you will always be so lucky. With your strength as a level 6 Xian beast ancestor, you will definitely die if you accept the highest challenge. Looking at Yi Chenfeng's back, Song Bingshan constantly cursed in his heart, cursing him to die in the final trial. Let's go. Jian Chen and Qian Wuxin ignored the gloomy Song Bingshan and flew towards their respective spatial channels. After flying into the spatial tunnel at the highest level, Yi Chenfeng discovered that he had appeared in a strange starry sky. And in the center of this starry sky, there was an ancient road that led to the deepest part of the starry sky, carved with ancient patterns. When Yi Chenfeng took his first step onto this mysterious ancient road, he suddenly felt the spatial pressure increase. It was as if a towering mountain was pressing down on his body, causing him to feel immense pressure. 3 million gene of strength explode. With a single thought, the power of the spiritual pearl in Yi Chenfeng's Shenmen acupoint exploded and instantly filled his entire body. He withstood the spatial pressure from the starry sky and quickly moved on the ancient road. Rumble! Yi Chenfeng had just moved 10 meters when a loud spatial friction sound rang out. A huge meteorite with a long and strange tail was flying towards him at an extremely fast speed. The space on the ancient path was limited. Adding on the spatial pressure, Yi Chenfeng had no time to dodge. He could only use his full strength to meet the attack. 5 million gene of strength, soul-suppressing tablet. Yi Chenfeng instantly raised his physical strength to the limit and blasted out the gigantic hand that was holding the soul-suppressing tablet. With a shocking destructive power, it heavily bombarded the meteorite. Kacha! The giant meteorite trembled violently for a moment. The soul-suppressing tablet's shocking power directly blasted the meteorite into pieces in the starry sky. After destroying the meteorite with one move, Yi Chenfeng didn't slow down and continued to move forward. Soon, he encountered the attacks of fireballs, heavenly thunder, thorns, and ice. The attacks of the 5 elements emerged endlessly on the ancient path. They were extremely powerful, but Yi Chenfeng relied on his powerful physical strength and methods to destroy them all. After nearly 4 hours of walking, Yi Chenfeng, who was under immense pressure, finally arrived at the end of the ancient road. He discovered a mysterious altar that was half a kilometer wide. Furthermore, boundless electric light gathered in this mysterious altar. Occasionally, it would turn into a lotus flower, and occasionally, it would turn into a large tree. This strange scene made Yi Chenfeng put up his guard. He felt a strong sense of danger. For mobile users, please visit /Mpiatia, remember URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 442. What a powerful soul spirit! When Yi Chenfeng released his powerful soul spirit to scan the mysterious altar, he sensed a mysterious soul spirit within the altar. It was this soul spirit that was constantly changing the shape of the lightning. Could the lightning in the altar be a ball of ancient heavenly lightning? Through the God-Eater brain, Yi Chenfeng sensed that the lightning in the altar was not simple. It was probably a ball of ancient heavenly lightning that had existed since ancient times and contained the power of destruction. Whoosh! Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath. He took out a high-grade monarch weapon and held it in his hand. Then, he stepped forward and slowly walked over. When he was 3 meters away from the mysterious altar, thousands of mysterious runes appeared on the altar. They formed a large number of illusions that confused his mind and consciousness. Illusion Dao intent, break the illusions. Faced with the large number of illusions, 20 illusion Tao patterns flashed in Yi Qianfeng's eyes. They directly broke the illusions that surged out from the altar. He was not affected at all. At this moment, the constantly changing ancient heavenly lightning turned into a 5-meter-long lightning tiger. Its head was the size of a water tank. It bared its sharp fangs and had a pair of wings on its back. Roar! The lightning tiger roared and pounced on Yi Qianfeng with endless lightning. Great Sun Heavenly Fire Fist. As the thunder tiger pounced over, Yi Qianfeng, whose eyes flickered with the illusion Tao pattern, immediately threw out a punch. The rolling black flame heavenly fire transformed into a demonic black sun that ruthlessly bombarded the thunder tiger. Bang! The highly intelligent thunder tiger raised its sharp tiger claws high up in the air and ruthlessly slapped down on the great sun heavenly fire fist. The powerful explosive force directly destroyed Yi Qianfeng's low-grade Tao skill. As expected, this ancient heavenly lightning's power is comparable to that of a level 6 defiant beast king. In this short exchange, Yi Qianfeng witnessed the terror of the ancient heavenly lightning. However, the more powerful it was, the more his battle intent was stimulated. Once he severely injured the ancient heavenly lightning and created an opportunity for the Chaos Divine Tree to devour it, the ancient heavenly lightning would evolve into a terrifying existence. The power of the wrath of Deity's punishment would also increase greatly. 8 Devil's Azura Art, 5 Killing Halos. Dragon Bloodline Burn. Beast Soul Form. Yi Qianfeng bellowed as he repeatedly displayed his trump cards, increasing his strength to the greatest extent possible. With a deafening dragon roar, a large amount of blood-red light spread out from his body. Large amounts of blood dragon scales covered his entire body. Powerful dragon energy boiled in his body, and his physical strength soared to 3 million jin, giving him the strength to fight against a rank 6 defiant beast king for a short time. 7 Swords of Judgment, Waning Moon. His strength had reached the limit. The Sword Tao pattern and the Thunder Tao pattern appeared on his body and fused with the sovereign weapon. As he swung his sword, a strange crescent-shaped sword arc cut through the sky, like a demonic crescent moon, fiercely slashing towards the thunder tiger. Roar! Sensing the destructive power of the waning moon, the thunder tiger opened its bloody mouth and spat out a river of lightning. It bombarded the waning moon, breaking it into pieces. Thunderbolt Flash. Lei Hu spat out the remaining power of the ancient lightning. Yi Qianfeng immediately turned into a zigzag bolt of lightning. In an extremely short amount of time, he dodged the remaining power of the ancient lightning and continued to attack Lei Hu. Yi Qianfeng, who had used almost all his trump cards, launched an extremely powerful attack. However, the thunder tiger formed by the ancient heavenly lightning was even more terrifying. It constantly tore apart Yi Qianfeng's attacks and bombarded his body. This ancient heavenly lightning is indeed difficult to deal with. Since his attacks were fruitless, Yi Qianfeng decided to use external forces. With a thought, the 9 Heavens 8 trigrams array appeared. Under his control, it directly enveloped the ferocious thunder tiger. Suppress. Yi Qianfeng poured a large amount of soul power into the 9 Heavens 8 trigrams array, activating its strongest power to suppress the ferocious thunder tiger. Under the suppression of the 8 Heavens 8 trigrams array, the thunder tiger's huge body rapidly shrank. Finally, it turned into a fist-sized ancient heavenly lightning that contained destructive power. In the next moment, the compressed ancient heavenly lightning exploded, releasing an earth-shattering destructive power that directly destroyed the 8 Heavens 8 trigrams array. 7 Swords of Judgment Eclipse. When the 9 Heavens 8 trigrams array was torn apart by the compressed energy of the ancient heavenly lightning, Yi Qianfeng immediately used his ultimate move. Surging energy fused into the king armament. A scarlet eclipse flood rose, cutting through all obstacles. It swept through the void and slammed into the escaping ancient heavenly lightning. Chi. Gu Tianlei, who was in a weakened state, was cleaved in half by a clip. Chaos Divine Wood, devour! Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Chunfeng decisively approached one of the ancient heavenly lightning and summoned the Chaos Divine Wood to devour it. Sizzle! After being devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood, the weakened ancient heavenly lightning resisted with all its might. It released a large amount of ancient heavenly lightning to tear apart the green roots of the Chaos Divine Wood, not giving it a chance to devour it. The other half of the ancient heavenly lightning also attacked with all its might. It bombarded the Chaos Divine Wood, trying to destroy it. However, although the Chaos Divine Wood was only in its sapling form, it was still one of the strongest divine trees in the universe. It was not something that could be destroyed by the ancient heavenly lightning. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng also unleashed a powerful attack. He attacked the other half of the ancient heavenly lightning with all his might. Flying Celestial Sword. Fiery Dragon annihilating the world. 4 slaughter styles. Yi Chunfeng repeatedly used powerful Dao techniques and heavenly skills to attack the ancient heavenly lightning, forcefully suppressing it. The ancient heavenly lightning that was surrounded by the dense green roots was constantly compressed and attacked. It tore apart the green roots, trying to escape. Black heavenly flames, burn. Sensing that the Chaos Divine Wood sapling was unable to devour the other half of the ancient heavenly lightning, Yi Chunfeng decisively controlled the black heavenly flames to drill into the Chaos Divine Wood sapling. He burned the ancient heavenly lightning and weakened its attack. Among the 5 elements, fire countered metal. Under the attack of the black heavenly flames, the ancient heavenly lightning's power kept decreasing. It was gradually controlled by the Chaos Divine Wood and started to be devoured by the green root. Phew, I finally succeeded. Sensing that the Chaos Divine Wood was starting to devour the ancient heavenly lightning, Yi Chunfeng heaved a sigh of relief. He continued to attack the other half of the ancient heavenly lightning. Time passed by slowly. As the power of the dragon blood started to dissipate, the beast's soul slowly recovered. As Yi Chunfeng's strength kept decreasing, the Chaos Divine Wood finally succeeded in devouring half of the ancient heavenly lightning. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng, who was feeling a little weak, used his strongest killer move again. He slashed out an earth-shattering eclipse sword and split open the ancient heavenly lightning that was similarly injured. Chaos Divine Wood, devour! While the other half of the ancient heavenly lightning was severely injured, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood's green roots to envelop it and continue to devour it. Under the burning of the black heavenly flames, the severely injured ancient heavenly lightning did not have much power to resist. It was slowly being devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood. After about 5 minutes, the terrifying ancient heavenly lightning was completely devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood, wiping away its soul energy. At that moment, the mysterious altar that had lost the ancient heavenly lightning shattered. A white staircase was projected, extending into the distant starry sky. On this white staircase, Yi Chunfeng could feel the power of the heavenly tribulation. Obviously, this was the true heavenly Tao test. If he succeeded, he would obtain the illusory heavenly Tao inheritance. If he failed, he would be buried here forever. For mobile users, please visit ///PH. Remember the website address. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 443. Let me witness the might of the heavenly tribulation. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and drank a mouthful of the water of heavenly fate to recover his exhausted soul power. He then stepped onto the white staircase without any fear. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng realized that the scene in front of him had changed. He appeared in a chaotic space. Large patches of dark clouds surged over like an avalanche and quickly gathered above his head, forming a thick black sea of clouds. Endless gales accompanied by the terrifying might of the heavenly Tao gushed out from the black sea of clouds. The rumbling of heavenly thunder made the sound of heaven and earth become chaotic. Who? Lightning flashed under Yi Chenfeng's feet as he rushed onto the white staircase at an extremely fast speed. Rumble! The deafening sound of thunder resounded. Countless lightning snakes appeared in the ink-black tribulation clouds and quickly gathered together, forming a purple demonic tribulation lightning that was as thick as a bucket and bombarded Yi Chenfeng. Boom! Facing the attack of the purple tribulation lightning, Yi Chenfeng's body trembled slightly. The power of the spiritual pearls in his Shunmen and Yongquan acupoints erupted, tearing apart the heavenly lightning and protecting his body. Is this all the power of the tribulation lightning? Although the purple tribulation lightning was powerful enough to kill an ordinary peerless king, to Yi Chenfeng, it was not a threat at all. Feeling his entire body go numb, Yi Chenfeng revealed a look of vigilance. There must be a demon behind this abnormality. Yi Chenfeng did not believe that the test of the heavenly Tao would be so simple. Resisting the purple tribulation lightning, Yi Chenfeng did not slow down and continued to climb the white staircase. Suddenly, Yi Chenfeng's vision blurred. A woman wearing a white jasmine silk dress appeared in front of him. Her smooth and tender skin was as smooth as cream. Her temperament was noble and elegant, and her eyes revealed a charming light. Nick Hang. Looking at the woman in the white dress in front of him, Yi Chenfeng was stunned. His eyes were a little dazed, and he could not help but walk towards the charming Yu Nikhang. Qingfeng, I miss you so much. Do you miss me? Looking at Yi Chenfeng slowly walking over, Yu Nichang's pair of limpid eyes were filled with a feminine charm. Her rosy cheeks slightly opened as she spoke in a delicate voice. Yes. Yi Chenfeng looked at Yu Nikhang, whose eyes were watery and cheeks were charming, and nodded gently. Qingfeng, hold me tight. Hearing Yi Chenfeng's reply, Yu Nikhang revealed a charming smile and pounced on him with a blissful expression. Just as she pounced into Yi Chenfeng's embrace, 10 sword Dao patterns shot out from Yi Chenfeng's body and pierced through Yu Nichang's body with extreme speed. Rumble! The moment Yu Nichang's body was pierced by the 10 sword Dao inscriptions, a destructive power that could shake the heavens and the earth erupted and blasted towards Yi Chenfeng. However, Yi Chenfeng was already prepared. The moment this devastating force erupted, his entire body turned blurry. He instantly retreated close to 100 meters and only received a slight aftershock. Despicable Heaven Dao calamity. It actually transformed into Nichang's appearance to deceive me. Yi Chenfeng, whose eyes were flickering with illusion Dao patterns, was a little annoyed. When he released the sword Dao patterns to penetrate Yu Nikhang, his heart inexplicably ached. Just as he was annoyed, a large number of familiar faces appeared in front of him again. There was Fu Yue, Ji Qingxue Bai Wei, and Qian Daobai, who he was indebted to. Looking at the familiar figures in front of him, Yi Chenfeng, whose eyes were flickering with illusion Dao patterns, knew that all of this was fake. They were all illusions created by the Heaven Dao calamity to confuse him. The Heaven Dao is heartless. Could this be the true essence of the Heaven Dao? In order to pursue the Supreme Great Tao, one has to give up all true feelings. Every time Yi Chenfeng killed a familiar figure created by the Heaven Dao calamity, his heart would inexplicably ache. Even his incomparably powerful martial Dao heart was affected and cracked. No, I am pursuing the Tao of emotions, not the Tao of heartlessness. Heaven and earth have emotions, so do humans. The Heaven Dao defies my heart. The Heaven Dao cannot influence my own path. Anyone who disturbs my martial Dao heart shall be killed. Just as Yi Chenfeng was affected by the Heaven Dao calamity and more cracks appeared in his martial Dao heart, Yi Chenfeng suddenly understood the true essence of the martial Dao. He thought of his own Dao and erupted with astonishing power. Not only did it instantly repair the cracks in his martial Dao heart, but it also strengthened his martial Dao heart. The Heaven Dao is heartless. Destroy. Yi Chenfeng's hands moved quickly, and the incomplete power of the Way of the Heavens gushed out, turning into a powerful Way of the Heavens technique, and bombarding the illusory power of the heavenly tribulation. boom. The familiar figures and familiar scenes shattered like flowers in a mirror. The white staircase that emitted the boundless Heaven Tao energy once again appeared before Yi Qinfeng's eyes. Phew, the Heaven Tao calamity is really not simple. If I hadn't comprehended the illusory Tao insight in the misty illusory realm and restrained the erosion of the illusions, perhaps I would have been lost and my martial Tao heart would have been destroyed by the Heaven Tao calamity. Thinking back to the scene just now, Yi Qinfeng still had a lingering fear in his heart. However, it strengthened his determination to pursue the supreme great Tao. I want to see what other tests the Heaven Tao calamity has. Yi Qinfeng's eyes revealed unswerving determination and fearlessness. He continued to climb the white staircase and accept the baptism of the Heaven Tao calamity. At this time, the wind and clouds above Yi Qinfeng's head throbbed. Endless black clouds surged rapidly like a tide and gathered above Yi Qinfeng's head to form a tribulation cloud that was as black as ink. It was like the 18 levels of hell. Rumble! Following the deafening sound of thunder resounding in the tribulation cloud, the dragon-like ancient heavenly lightning and the scarlet heavenly fire reflected each other in the tribulation cloud. An energy that made Yi Qinfeng's heart palpitate leaked out and locked onto him. However, after Yi Qinfeng's martial Tao heart transformed, it had become unprecedentedly powerful. Facing the Heaven Tao calamity that no human could resist, he was still fearless as he waved his sword and asked the heavens, "Who knows my heart in the long heaven and earth? Who is the master of the boundless great Tao? One man, one sword, one heaven and one earth. I will not yield." Yi Qinfeng sang the fearless and immortal Tao song as he continued forward. Rumble! An earth-shattering sound of thunder resounded. The ancient heavenly lightning that was as black as ink and the demonic and horrifying ancient heavenly fire blended together. It was like a terrifying prehistoric beast that opened its mouth to devour the heaven and earth and blasted at Yi Qinfeng. Ordinary people would have been paralyzed on the ground after being attacked by the thunder-fire double-kill calamity. However, Yi Qinfeng was ignited with an unyielding battle intent and was filled with hot blood. Union of man and weapon / Yi Qinfeng, who was in his beast soul form, burst out with a roar. All the energy in his body, the sword Tao pattern, the thunder Tao pattern, and the power of massacre, poured into the monarch armament. His entire body merged with the monarch armament as he welcomed the descending thunder-fire double-kill calamity. Rumble! 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 When the thunder-fire double-kill calamity struck Yi Qinfeng, who was in the union of man and weapon, it burst out with astonishing power and instantly engulfed Yi Qinfeng. Wisps of thunder-fire double-kill calamity were like small snakes as they penetrated Yi Qinfeng's pores and entered his body, destroying his physical body. 7 swords of judgment, waning moon. Yi Qinfeng endured the pain in his body and slashed out the half-moon sword arc with all his might. It was like a waning moon flying through the sky and forcefully ripped apart the thunder-fire double-kill calamity. After the thunder-fire double-kill calamity was shattered, it immediately turned into a large amount of pure thunder-fire calamity and entered Yi Qinfeng's body. Such pure energy! Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up as he decisively circulated the 9 transformations divine transformation and refined the thunder-fire calamity into the Shanzhong acupoint on his chest to condense the 3rd spirit pearl. After 15 minutes, Yi Qinfeng completely refined the thunder-fire calamity into the Shanzhong acupoint and strengthened his physical strength. He continued to advance and accept the baptism and test of the Heaven Tao calamity. For mobile users, please visit /mph. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 444. Boom. 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 Before Yi Qinfeng could take more than 2 steps, the lightning fire double-kill tribulation broke out of the tribulation cloud vortex. It was like 2 divine dragons intersecting with each other, carrying a shocking amount of power as it bombarded Yi Qinfeng, who was holding the king armament high in the air and had become one with the weapon. PFFF. After taking on the second thunder-fire dual calamity head-on, Yi Qinfeng's body trembled as a large amount of blood spurted out. His arms, which were holding the monarch armament up high, had dragon scales shattered and were badly mutilated. Large amounts of blood flowed out uncontrollably. If Yi Qinfeng didn't refine his astral body to the second stage and transform into his beast soul form, allowing his blood dragon scale to withstand most of the attacks, his body would have collapsed long ago. Tao pattern of life, recover. 5 million pounds of force, break. Yi Qinfeng didn't bother about the injuries on his arms. The spirit pearls in his Shinmen acupoint and Yongquan acupoint burst out as he brandished his monarch armament with all his might. He interweaved powerful sky-rushing ships and attacked the thunder-fire dual calamity ferociously. After his relentless attacks, the second thunder-fire dual calamity was finally shattered. However, his injuries had worsened. When he felt his injuries, Yi Qinfeng immediately took out a ball of life spirit that had the power of resurrection. He absorbed 1/5 of the life spirit's energy and instantly recovered his injuries. He circulated the divine change of 9 transformations and refined the thunder-fire power into his Shanzhong acupoint, further condensing the spirit pearls. Under the powerful refinement of the divine change of 9 transformations, Yi Qinfeng's thunder-fire power had completely fused into his Shanzhong acupoint. He didn't hesitate and continued climbing the white stairs to accept the baptism of the thunder-fire dual calamity. When he endured the immense pressure and constantly destroyed the thunder-fire dual calamity, he climbed to the 10th step. A dazzling golden light sword covered with ancient patterns emerged from the rapidly revolving tribulation cloud. It sliced through the chaotic sky and shot towards Yi Qinfeng. Sword of Heaven Calamity. The Heaven Calamity actually evolved into such a phenomenon. Seeing the sword of heavenly tribulation slashing down from the sky, Yi Qinfeng decisively unleashed all his trump cards. He wanted to use the strongest move he currently knew to slash out Sword of Eclipse to meet the attack. Suddenly, the phenomenon appeared once more. Pitch-black thorns appeared beneath his feet like spiraling snakes. They coiled around his body and forcefully interrupted his rhythm of using Eclipse. Not good. Yi Qinfeng did not expect the heavenly Tao tribulation to be so strange. He changed his move decisively. 23 sword Tao patterns and 10 thunder Tao patterns surged out of his body and quickly shredded the black thorns binding his body. Summoned by his will, the Chaos Divine Wood appeared above his head and took the attack of the heavenly tribulation sword head-on. Meanwhile, the Chaos Divine Wood was Yi Qinfeng's final trump card. It was also the reason why he dared to challenge the heavenly Tao tribulation. 7 Swords of Judgment Eclipse. The instant the sword and thunder Tao patterns forcefully tore apart the black thorns, Yi Qinfeng decisively made his move. The fiery red ship slowly rose, carrying with it an unstoppable force as it ruthlessly slashed at the sword of heavenly tribulation. The 2 divine weapons clashed in midair for 3 seconds before the Chaos Divine Wood's 8 5-colored divine leaves swayed with endless divine light and shattered the sword of heavenly tribulation. The sword of heavenly tribulation shattered and immediately transformed into a blurry golden energy. It surged into Yi Qinfeng's body and was refined into his chest meridian. Phew, I wonder how many levels there are on the white staircase. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and looked at the mysterious stairs that were shrouded by clouds and mist. He continued to climb. Sword of heavenly tribulation, frosty light, 10,000-year-old mystic stone. Every time Yi Qinfeng stepped on the white staircase, he would be baptized by the heavenly Tao tribulation. His body was also severely injured by the powerful heavenly Tao tribulation. If an ordinary person suffered such a heavy blow, they would have collapsed long ago. However, Yi Qinfeng had heaven-defying items like the life spirit and the water of heavenly fate. He also had great willpower, so he could completely withstand it. His physical strength and toughness were also constantly increasing as he refined the power of the heavenly tribulation. Phew, it's the 16th level. I wonder what kind of heavenly tribulation I will encounter on the 17th level. Yi Chunfeng borrowed the power of the Chaos Divine Wood and used many trump cards. He paid the price of having his arms broken, a third of his dragon's scales shattered, and his chest mangled. Finally, he shattered a mystic mountain covered in ancient runes on the 16th level. Life Spirit, recover. Yi Chunfeng's physical injuries were extremely severe. However, with the recovery of the Life Spirit, his broken arms and chest were recovering at a visible rate. In less than 10 breaths, he had fully recovered. He drank a mouthful of the water of heavenly fate and fearlessly stepped onto the 17th level. The moment he stepped onto the 17th level, his sharp senses picked up a strong feeling. All the hairs on his body stood on end. Human form. The heavenly Tao tribulation on the 17th level actually took human form. Looking at the 100 figures of the heavenly tribulation in front of him, even with Yi Chunfeng's strength, he felt his scalp go numb. However, he did not retreat. He took a deep breath and completely ignited his dragon bloodline, increasing the power of his beast soul form. Holding the ruler weapon, he charged forward and fiercely fought with the 100 figures of the heavenly tribulation. 7 million gene of strength explode. Killing halo increase attack power. Rushing into the heavenly tribulation figures, Yi Chunfeng smelled a strong aura of death. However, in his eyes there was no trace of fear. He continuously increased his attack power and relied on his speed to maneuver around the heavenly tribulation figures. Soon, Yi Chunfeng's body was covered with wounds. The blood dragon scales that covered his body were severely damaged. However, the battle intent in Yi Chunfeng's body became even more frenzied. In order to increase his killing power, he also took out the Juk Tianjian. Holding the sword with both hands, he fought fiercely. Under the condition of paying a heavy price, he finally killed 2 heavenly tribulation figures. The 2 heavenly tribulation figures were crushed and immediately turned into a large amount of pure energy that merged into Yi Chunfeng's body. He condensed it into his Shanzhong acupoint to condense the 3rd spirit pearl. Once the 3rd spirit pearl was condensed, his battle power would greatly increase, greatly increasing his chances of passing the most difficult test in the ancient heaven palace. Life Spirit, water of heavenly fate, recover. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and quickly merged the 2 trump cards to recover his injuries. Then, he used his last trump card. Life Spirit Technique, 1,000 years of lifespan burn. In order to pass the test of the 17 heavenly tribulation figures, Yi Chunfeng did not hesitate to burn 1,000 years of his lifespan. He released a vast amount of life force to increase his strength to the greatest extent. After burning 1,000 years of his lifespan, he had the water of life with him. It was enough for him to recover 2,000 years of his lifespan. In the future, when he used the Life Spirit technique, he had to be very careful. Once the water of life was completely used up, he would lose the opportunity to use his greatest trump card. Boom! As he burned 1,000 years of his lifespan, Yi Chunfeng's strength rose steadily. He was almost at the level of an emperor. Kill! Yi Chunfeng roared. Holding the sword with both hands, he continuously used powerful Tao techniques to fight against the heavenly tribulation figures that surrounded him. Bang bang bang! Yi Chunfeng, who was in his strongest state, attacked fiercely without any regard for the cost. The human figures of the heavenly tribulation could not withstand the attacks and exploded one after another, turning into a large amount of pure energy that fused into Yi Chunfeng's body. When Yi Chunfeng paid the price of being severely injured and killed more than 30 heavenly tribulation figures, he finally accumulated enough energy to successfully condense the 3rd spiritual pearl in his Shanzhong acupoint. His pure physical strength increased to 3 million pounds. 7 Swords of Judgment. Sword of Flying Fairy. Fiery Dragon destroys the world. With the increase in physical strength, Yi Chunfeng swallowed more than half of the life spirit in one gulp. He quickly recovered from his injuries. Like a ferocious tiger, he charged into the heavenly tribulation figures and continued to attack crazily. As for him, he fought fiercely. The shocking attack power was enough to make people tremble. Yi Chunfeng killed crazily for more than 2 hours. Finally, he killed all the heavenly tribulation figures. A large amount of pure energy filled the void and crazily poured into his body. If I'm not wrong, this is the last step of the heavenly tribulation. I wonder what the last heavenly tribulation will be. Yi Chunfeng was like an immortal god of war. He looked up at the last step of the heavenly tribulation, which was covered by misty clouds. His eyes burned with unyielding faith and determination to win. No matter how strong the heavenly tribulation was, man could overcome nature. For mobile users, please visit //Mpiatia, remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 445. Come on, let me see what the final test of the heavenly Tao tribulation is. With the help of the life spirit and the water of heavenly fate, Yi Chunfeng's injuries were healed once again. He adjusted himself to his best state and fearlessly walked up to the 18th step of the heaven stair. A peerless genius. It seems that he really has a slight chance of inheriting the heavenly Tao. The ancient palace spirit had watched the entire process of Yi Chunfeng accepting the most difficult test of the ancient heaven palace. He was completely disappointed by his indomitable spirit. He had no choice but to admit that Yi Chunfeng was definitely a rare genius that he had never seen in his life. Not only did he possess talent and luck that would make others jealous, he also had willpower, spirit, and a heart of martial arts that surpassed ordinary people. I hope you can succeed. Seeing Yi Chunfeng disappear from the 17th step of the heaven stair, the ancient palace spirit's body flashed and immediately followed him. He wanted to personally witness the process of him accepting the test of the 18th step of the heavenly Tao tribulation. What is that? When Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the 18th step of the heaven stair, he realized that a black torrent had appeared above his head. It was like a black dragon was roaming in the sky. Just as Yi Chunfeng was secretly watching the black torrent that made his heart palpitate, a towering Tao steel slowly emerged from the torrent. It gave off a sacred and inviolable feeling. This is the heavenly Tao steel. Feeling that the Tao steel in front of him was exactly the same as the Tao intent in the mysterious stone inscription that Xue Qinglan had given him, Yi Chunfeng immediately guessed that this should be the most precious inheritance of the ancient heaven palace, the heavenly Tao steel. Comprehend the 9 heavenly Tao patterns in the heavenly Tao steel and break the heavenly Tao steel. You will pass. The loser will be killed by the heavenly Tao steel. At this moment, a deep voice suddenly rang out from the heavenly Tao steel. I wonder if there is an additional time reward for comprehending the heavenly Tao steel? Yi Chunfeng asked. There were less than 6 hours left before the deadline. Even with the god-devouring brain, it was impossible for him to comprehend the 9 heavenly Tao runes on the heavenly Tao steel in such a short time. Yes, I can give you an additional 18 days. However, if you fail to comprehend the 9 runes of Heaven Tao and break through the Heaven Tao tablet, you will be killed by the Heaven Tao tablet. The mysterious voice replied. All right, 18 days is enough. Even though Yi Chunfeng had no way out by accepting the extra 18 days, he still accepted it without hesitation. All right, let the heavenly Tao test begin. Whether you live or die will depend on your ability. As soon as he finished speaking, the black torrent in the sky exploded, revealing the heavenly Tao steel that was 90 feet tall. It was like a small mountain, and its surface was carved with 9 profound ancient Tao markings. As the heavenly Tao tablet descended, the space above Yi Chunfeng's head started to distort. Clear spatial cracks started to spread in all directions, and under the heavenly Tao tablet's movement, the entire space started to collapse. Tisk tisk tisk. Before the heavenly Tao tablet even attacked, Yi Chunfeng's powerful flesh couldn't withstand it anymore. Flowers of blood burst out, and his entire body seemed like it was going to collapse at any moment. Shenmen Acupoint, Yongquan Acupoint, Shanzhong Acupoint, 3 pearls combined into one. Explode with a strength of 7 million pounds. Since his body couldn't withstand the heavenly Tao tablet's suppression, Yi Chunfeng immediately activated the power of the 3 spiritual pearls and erupted with a strength of 7 million pounds to resist. However, the heavenly Tao's prowess was too terrifying. Yi Chunfeng's strength of 7 million pounds wasn't enough to resist. Without a choice, Yi Chunfeng ignited his extremely thin dragon bloodline again and transformed into his beast soul form. While increasing his strength, it also increased the defense of his body. Boom! The heavenly Tao tablet descended. The moment the heavenly Tao tablet made contact with Yi Chunfeng's arms that were filled with 5 million pounds of strength and surging soul power, Yi Chunfeng's arms couldn't withstand the pressure and were immediately broken. Primal Chaos Divine Wood, Sword Puppet. At the crucial moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Primal Chaos Divine Wood and the Sword Puppet to resist the heavenly Tao tablet. If he couldn't resist the heavenly Tao tablet's suppression, Yi Chunfeng wouldn't have a chance to comprehend the 9 heavenly Tao patterns in the heavenly Tao tablet. He would be directly killed. Rumble! When the Primal Chaos Divine Wood and the Sword Puppet clashed with the heavenly Tao tablet, an earth-shattering power immediately erupted, increasing the number of cracks in the space. The entire space became even more chaotic, as if the end of the world had arrived. Phew, the Primal Chaos Divine Wood and the Sword Puppet didn't disappoint me. Sensing that the Primal Chaos Divine Wood and the Sword Puppet had resisted the heavenly Tao tablet's suppression, Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief. He immediately controlled the God-Eater Brain's power to radiate out and permeate the heavenly Tao tablet. Combining his earlier comprehension of the heavenly Tao, he quickly deduced the heavenly Tao patterns and forcefully engraved them into the God-Eater Brain, speeding up his comprehension. Very quickly, 6 hours passed. Jian Chen, Song Bingshan, and Gan Wuxin had completed the final test. They were sent out of the ultimate space by the ancient palace spirit and arrived outside the 5 blood pools. They didn't disappoint the ancient palace spirit either. Relying on their unyielding willpower and great strength, they all passed the final test. Gan Wuxin had comprehended 13 Saber Tao patterns and cultivated the Saber Tao to the 2nd heavenly layer. He had also comprehended a low-grade Tao skill. Jian Chen and Song Bingshan had comprehended the Sword Tao and the Tao of Darkness to the 3rd heavenly layer. They had also comprehended low-grade Tao skills, greatly increasing their strength. How can this be? Why hasn't Yi Chunfeng come out? When they arrived outside the ancient beast blood pool, Gan Wuxin was shocked to find that Yi Chunfeng hadn't appeared. Disbelief filled his face as he immediately looked at the ancient palace spirit. As for Song Bingshan, he had a gloating smile. This was the result he wanted to see the most. "Senior, may I ask where Yi Chunfeng is? Why hasn't he come out yet?" asked Jian Chen. "Yi Chunfeng is still undergoing the test," said the ancient palace spirit. "Senior, didn't you say that we only had 1 day to take the test? Why was he allowed to extend it?" Hearing that Yi Chunfeng hadn't died, Song Bingshan frowned. He was a bit angry. "He extended the trial time not because I gave him the right, but because of the highest inheritance. However, if he is unable to comprehend the highest inheritance in 18 days, he will be killed by the highest inheritance," the ancient palace spirit said emotionlessly. He really did it. He passed the test and saw the highest inheritance. Jian Chen's eyes brightened. He didn't reveal any jealousy. Instead, he revealed admiration. Subconsciously, he believed that Yi Chunfeng would definitely be able to pass the highest inheritance test in the ancient heaven palace. "Senior, may I ask what the highest inheritance of the ancient heaven palace is?" asked Song Bingshan with an ugly expression. That is the ancient Heaven Palace's greatest secret. You have no right to know. Alright, the three of you have passed the final test. You can cultivate in the ancient beast blood pool for 18 days. These 5 ancient beast blood pools are condensed from the blood of several thousand ancient beasts. They have the ability to cleanse your meridians and strengthen your bloodline power. You can go in and cultivate. After saying that, the ancient palace spirit opened the restrictions on the 3 pools. Jianchen, Songbingshan, and Ganwuxin were allowed to enter. They could absorb the essence of the ancient beast's blood and increase their strength. Yi Chunfeng, I don't believe you can pass the highest inheritance test in the ancient Heaven Palace. I hope I can hear the news of your death in 18 days. Song Bingshan's eyes flashed with an ominous light as he soaked in the blood pool. He cursed in his heart. As for Yi Chunfeng, it really was as Song Bingshan had imagined. When he accepted the Heavenly Tao Tablets test, he had encountered a life-threatening crisis. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click the Save button at the bottom to record this book. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 446. The boundless power of the Heaven Tao was like billowing smoke that pervaded above Yi Chunfeng's head. Although the primal chaos divine wood and the sword spirit puppet managed to withstand the suppression of the Heavenly Tao tablet, Yi Chunfeng, who was trying his best to deduce the Heavenly Tao's inscriptions, was constantly being attacked by the Heavenly Tao's remaining might. His powerful physical body was riddled with holes, and blood flowed non-stop. The injuries on his physical body continued to worsen, but Yi Chunfeng didn't notice at all. He eliminated all distracting thoughts and focused on controlling the God-Eater brain to speed up the derivation. After 2 days of derivation, the God-Eater brain successfully imprinted 2 Heaven Tao patterns with the help of the earlier comprehension of the Heaven Tao. Huff, huff, the Heaven Tao is indeed the foundation of the Tao. The power it contains is truly too terrifying. Although the God-devouring brain had successfully imprinted 2 clear lines of the Heavenly Tao, Yi Chunfeng's severely injured body could not withstand the impact of the Heavenly Tao tablet's remaining power. Many parts of his body were torn apart, revealing his white bones. According to my current physical condition, I'm afraid my physical body will completely collapse after 3 more days. It's almost impossible to comprehend all 9 Taos in 3 days. I have to think of other methods. Yi Chunfeng's mind was spinning rapidly as he constantly thought of other methods. At this moment, the sword puppet's energy was completely depleted. It was sent flying by the Heaven Tao tablet's powerful force and fell heavily on the ground, losing its ability to move. Without the sword puppet to share the pressure on the primal chaos divine would increased sharply. The swaying divine light of the 8 5-colored divine leaves dimmed, and the pressure on Yi Chunfeng's body increased again. Chi. Clear cracks extended on the surface of Yi Chunfeng's body and instantly covered his entire body. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng was like a broken porcelain doll that could shatter at any moment. Let's fight with all my strength. With his physical body on the verge of collapse, Yi Chunfeng, who was hovering between life and death, made up his mind and blasted out all 8 streaks of primal chaos divine wood at the Heaven Tao tablet. Although the chaotic divine wood seedling's chaotic force was not even a millionth of the chaotic force at its peak, the combined attack of 8 streams of chaotic force was still terrifying. It forcefully cracked a small hole in the Heavenly Tao steel and slightly weakened its pressure. Life Spirit, recover! Primal Chaos Divine Wood, attack with full force. The 8 streams of primal chaos force successfully shattered the tablet of Heaven's Tao. Yi Chunfeng immediately swallowed the entire lump of life spirit into his body, rapidly healing his injuries. He burned all the blood and qi in his body, pouring powerful soul power into the primal chaos divine wood at all costs, supporting its full-powered attack. After fusing with enough energy, the chaos divine wood instantly nurtured tens of thousands of green root. Like unbreakable steel needles, they pierced into the gap in the heavenly Tao steel and forcefully shattered it. Demon core crystal, demon core bone, fuse. With all the mid-grade and high-grade soul crystals in his body exhausted, Yi Chunfeng immediately took out all the demon core crystals and demon core bones and fused them into the sword puppet. After fusing with a large amount of demon core crystals and demon core bones, a powerful demonic aura burst out from the sword puppet's body and permeated the chaotic space. With enough energy, the sword puppet immediately stood up and appeared beside the primal chaos divine wood. It extended its indestructible arms and forcibly supported the heavenly Tao steel, reducing the pressure on Yi Chunfeng. God-Eater brain, speed up the deduction. With the crisis resolved, Yi Chunfeng immediately increased the deduction speed of the God-Eater brain to the peak and continued to engrave the heavenly Tao patterns in the heavenly Tao steel. After about a day, the sword puppet's energy was depleted once again and was blasted to the ground by the terrifying heavenly Tao steel. Fortunately, the primal chaos divine would made use of this day and successfully inserted a large number of roots into the heavenly Tao steel. It plundered the energy from within and completely resisted the heavenly Tao steel suppression, protecting Yi Chunfeng. The God-Eater brain has successfully comprehended 4 heavenly Tao patterns. When the primal chaos divine would plundered the heavenly Tao steel's energy, Yi Chunfeng also benefited greatly from it. It sped up the God-Eater brain's comprehension and engraving of the heavenly Tao patterns. According to this development, Yi Chunfeng was completely confident that he could definitely comprehend 9 heavenly Tao patterns in advance. Days passed, and Yi Chunfeng forgot about time and space. He blindly deduced and comprehended and slowly engraved the 9 heavenly Tao patterns in the God-Eater brain. The primal chaos divine wood that had taken root in the heavenly Tao steel not only completely countered the sword puppet's suppression, but it also successfully nurtured the 9th and 10th 5-colored divine leaf and 5 brand new primal chaos energy. However, the mark of heavenly Tao was too mysterious and powerful. When the God-devouring brain carved the 9 clear mark of heavenly Tao, Yi Chunfeng felt a severe dizziness in his mind. Cracks appeared on his soul that had been tempered thousands of times. Phew, the God-Eater brain has finally engraved the 9 heavenly Tao patterns. With my current understanding of the heavenly Tao, I should be able to completely comprehend it in about 2 days. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and endured the dizziness and pain in his soul spirit. He made use of the limited time to control the 9 heavenly Tao patterns. At this time, only 9.5 days had passed. If Yi Chunfeng had guessed correctly, in about 2 days, Yi Chunfeng had successfully grasped the 9 heavenly Tao patterns under the God-Eater brain's deduction and perfected the heavenly Tao's ruthless heavenly Tao. Phew, it's time to break the heavenly Tao steel and leave this place. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and looked at the heavenly Tao steel that was being resisted by the primal chaos divine wood. He tried to condense the 9 heavenly Tao patterns in his body and use the ruthless heavenly Tao to break the heavenly Tao steel. Crack! Crack! The instant the 9 heavenly Tao patterns appeared in Yi Chunfeng's body, his powerful body couldn't withstand the power of the heavenly Tao patterns. Crisscrossing cracks appeared on his body, and he was on the verge of collapsing. How can this be? With my current physical strength, I can't withstand the 9 heavenly Tao patterns. Feeling the tearing pain in his body, Yi Chunfeng's expression changed drastically. He never expected that he couldn't produce the 9 heavenly Tao patterns at the same time. However, if he couldn't produce the 9 heavenly Tao patterns at the same time and use the ruthless heavenly Tao, he wouldn't be able to break the heavenly Tao steel. This made Yi Chunfeng knit his brows tightly together as he tried to think of a solution. Is this heavenly Tao steel's test a sure-death situation? Yi Chunfeng thought in distress. No, this heavenly Tao steel can't possibly be a sure-death situation. There must be a mystery behind it. After pondering for a while, Yi Chunfeng rejected his own guess. He raised his head slightly and looked at the 20-foot-tall heavenly Tao steel. His eyes were filled with fearlessness and determination. "I'll go all out. I don't believe I'll die here." After racking his brains to no avail, Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth and decided to take a risk. He released the 9 heavenly Tao patterns and attacked with all his strength. If he succeeded, he would pass the test. If he failed, his physical body would shatter and his bones would shatter. 9 heavenly Tao patterns, ruthless heavenly Tao. Yi Chunfeng roared and forcefully condensed the 9 heavenly Tao patterns in his body. PFFF. PFFF. When the 9 heavenly Tao patterns gushed out, Yi Chunfeng's physical body couldn't withstand the power released by the 9 heavenly Tao patterns and exploded into scarlet flowers of blood. His physical body started to collapse on a large scale. However, Yi Chunfeng didn't care about this at all. He condensed the 9 heavenly Tao patterns and used the ruthless heavenly Tao to bombard the heavenly Tao steel that was blocked by the primal chaos divine wood. Boom! It was earth-shattering, and heaven and earth shook. The heavenly Tao steel suffered the attack of the ruthless heavenly Tao formed by the 9 heavenly Tao patterns and directly collapsed. The violent explosion caused heaven and earth to shake. The entire space was distorted, and the world seemed to be shattered. And in the shattered space, Yi Chunfeng's fragile body also exploded, turning into flesh and blood that drifted with the wind. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.